It's 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos, KSL's top story. More information continues to roll in about the terrifying moment at this weekend's No Kings protest in downtown Salt Lake when the shots rang out, killing an innocent bystander. As the crowd was running and hiding, one man spotted someone carrying a rifle in a backpack. We begin our live team coverage with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. Eric?
Maria, Sam Hernandez says he and his wife were scrambling to find a way out. People were running in all directions, trying to get away from the sound of gunfire. That's when Hernandez spotted a man nearby with a rifle sticking out of his backpack. He told Inside Sources he didn't hesitate.
I grab it, I yell out for the police. The police come right away, swarm him, take him down. There was blood on his hands, I remember, in his cuticles, like he had cleaned his hands off.
Hernandez says they were shaken, but thankfully they didn't bring their 3 kids, fearing something like this might happen. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
A man who was there when police arrested the suspect in the shooting says until that point, it had been a peaceful protest. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis continues our team coverage.
Ben Behanan says he was standing at the corner of 1st South, 2nd East when suddenly people started running past.
There were just a rush of people coming from the south on 200 East and were running past us, dropping their signs.
He says he was there when 24-year-old Arturo Gamboa was arrested. Behunin says there had been many families, children, and people of all ages there, and everyone had been enjoying their rights to freedom of speech before shots were fired. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
However, Gamboa, the man who was arrested, was not the one who fired the shots. The bullets came from what police are calling a peacekeeper who saw Gamboa with the rifle. Legal experts say it's possible the peacekeeper could end up facing charges. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says charges depend on if prosecutors decide they acted appropriately in the situation.
But they have to be reasonable, and if that force causes harm to an individual who's innocent and not the target of their self-defense or defense of others, that could be a problem for them more so than for the individual who's currently incarcerated.
Skorda says he doesn't believe that they will be charged with murder, but could face other charges like reckless or negligent homicide. So did the peacekeeper have the right to bring a gun to the protest or to fire it against someone they believed was a threat? Our team coverage continues with KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi.
Local gun rights advocate Clark Aposian knows the rules inside and out when it comes to firing a weapon.
If you act with reckless disregard for the safety of others while using that firearm, then it becomes a criminal issue.
The chairman of the Utah Sports Shooting Council says we still need to know whether the peacekeeper was licensed to carry a gun and who, if anyone, hired him to be at the event. Aposian says when he heard of bullets being fired, he wondered where they went. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
And we will hear more from local gun rights advocate Clark Aposian coming up at 12:15. Friends of the man who was shot and killed at the protest say he was a husband and a father of 2 kids. 39-year-old Arthur Volasa Alu, who went by Afa, was a well-known fashion designer from Samoa who now calls Utah home. KSL TV reports he had been on Project Runway and recently became an American citizen.
He wanted to be very much a part of what America is and a part of the American dream.
Utah Representative Verona Mana was a close friend of Afa. That there is a GoFundMe listed on our website, kslnewsradio.com, for people who want to help the family with funeral expenses. KSL's top national stories. Salt Lake City's wasn't the only protest. Millions of people took to the streets over the weekend to protest the Trump administration and its immigration policies. More now from ABC's Matt Gutman.
In Los Angeles, rocked by 9 days of protests against the president's immigration crackdown, a crowd of tens of thousands was also peaceful for hours. We were there as it turned, mounted police, in some cases without warning, moving in on protesters. Protesters and reporters sent running.
The No Kings protest happened in roughly 2,000 cities across the world. Organizers say about 5 million people took part, but other estimates have the number as high as 11 or 12 million. Other national stories we are following. The suspect in the Minnesota shootings, which left a state lawmaker and her husband dead, is now facing state as well as federal charges. ABC's Alex Malin has more on a potential motive.
When authorities searched his car and they discovered that arsenal of weapons, I mean, he had 3 AK-47s, another pistol, and the addresses of various public officials, all Democrats, we understand. And we understand that authorities believe that they are looking into his background and whether he was motivated by a potential anti-abortion sentiment. They are looking at videos that he did overseas of potential sermons that may have had some kind of anti-abortion sentiment, anti-trans sentiment.
Another lawmaker and his spouse were also shot. They're recovering from their injuries. First Look Traffic. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Good news for drivers in Roy. The crash that had been tying up traffic at the intersection of 1900 West, about 5600 South, has been cleared. All lanes are open. But also in Weber County, we still have a crash. This is mostly to the right, northbound Washington Boulevard near Adams Avenue. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Thinking about the future can be a lot. I just got my first job out of college. That means thinking about a car, building credit, and saving for emergencies. I'd rather be in the gym working on my gains. But with Cyprus Credit Union, all those worries fade away. Whether it's high-yield savings products or an auto loan once I'm ready to get a sweet new ride. Cyprus is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Federally insured by the NCUA.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping KSL's top story, legal experts say it's unclear what kind of charges the peacekeeper who shot and killed an innocent bystander of Salt Lake City's No Kings protest over the weekend could face. That person has not yet been identified. KSL News Time 12:08. A red flag warning is now in effect in much of central, southern, and eastern Utah until midnight, with conditions ripe for wildfire.
The potential for a fire to start is a lot higher.
Carl Hunt with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Land says high winds and low humidity are making a bad combo for wildfire potential throughout much of the state today.
Use your fire sense, take the precautions.
Plus, portions of Washington, Kane, and Garfield counties already have restrictions on things like campfires, smoking, and fireworks. And while we're not under those same restrictions or in a red flag warning here along the Wasatch Front, Hunt says we should still be careful around here too.
Fires still can start. The conditions are still there that, you get a spark, it can run.
Hunt says we've been able to cut human-caused wildfires in the state by more than half over the last 4 years, and they'd like to keep that trend going.
Just be careful and take the precautions to, not have a wildfire spark.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Fire season is already off to a busy start in Utah. State fire officials say that we had nearly 5 dozen new wildfires start over the last week, and more than half of those were caused by people. Hot, dry conditions the next few days will increase the risk of new fire starts and of spreading existing fires. State fire officials say they have crews standing by in case we see a lot more wildfires with our current hot weather. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson explains.
Air tankers, helicopters, interagency partnerships, seasonal firefighters. Those are all resources at the disposal of firefighters on state and federal lands. They gathered last week to say they're prepared if and when wildland fires break out. They said pilots and support staff from all over the U.S. get stationed near Cedar City's air tanker base for 90 days at a time to support the firefighting efforts.
The Cedar City Air Tanker Base mainly supports central and southern Utah, but they also support firefighting efforts in Arizona and Nevada. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky Meese, what's happening on the roads?
Freeway traffic rolling along and looking good. We do have the final clearing of this crash in Weber County. This is on Washington Boulevard going northbound at about 4800 south, not far from Adams Avenue. It's over to the right shoulder. Again, in the clearing stages. If you're in Tooele County, another day of delays possible. It's due to road work southbound SR 36 Main Street in Mills Junction and Stansbury Park. Discover the art of adventure in Cedar City, the gateway to parks, plays, high elevation recreation, ATV and downhill trails, chairlift rides, topped off with unique shops and savory bites. Plan a visit at cedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's partly cloudy skies today with a high of 93, breezy at times out of the southwest. 66 overnight, clouds will be clearing. I got an 87 with sunshine, much cooler for your Tuesday. Wednesday, though, we're right back at it with a high of 92 degrees and mostly sunny skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Partly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City and toasty already 87 degrees. Coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos. Do people who are not law enforcement have a right to carry a gun into a protest? We will talk about that with a local gun rights activist. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
1 in 4 children in Davis County is at risk of going hungry.
Over the weekend, many kids who depend on school meals during the week lose access to regular meals.
Let's make a difference. Let's fight childhood hunger one pantry pack at a time.
Join Young Caring for Our Young and the Young Automotive Group along with the Bountiful Food Pantry. June 21st at Bountiful City Park from 8 a.m. to noon to donate and assemble pantry packs for our children who face hunger over the weekends.
Learn about the deep impact of food insecurity and discover ways to help all year with this hands-on volunteer experience perfect for families, groups, or individuals.
Feel the warmth of giving oatmeal packets, granola bars, fruit snacks, fruit pouches, individual cracker packets, or even cash donations that directly go towards purchasing food for pantry packs.
Let's fight childhood hunger together. Saturday, June 21st at Bountiful City Park, 8 a.m. to noon.
Learn more at bountifulfoodpantry.org.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL News Time 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a man who caught video of police arresting a suspect from the No Kings protest shooting in Salt Lake says it was a chaotic scene with people rushing and signs hitting the floor. I'm KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Second, fire crews are urging people to be extra careful today with red flag warnings in effect throughout the state. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
A tow truck on the scene just getting ready to pull away from this crash. Washington Boulevard, not far from Adams Avenue, and that means we will be back to a crash-free commute. A good drive on all your Salt Lake County freeways. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
90s today, but a quick dip to the 80s tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's partly cloudy, 87 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. After days of back-and-forth airstrikes, Israel claiming it has full control over Tehran's airspace. In an ABC News exclusive, Jonathan Karl spoke with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying Israel took action to stop Iran's nuclear program due to what Netanyahu says were Iran's fake talks with the U.S. Netanyahu warning that Iran has sowed divisions in the Middle East or Israel and Western society.
They're working secretly to rapidly weaponize this. In a few months, they would have nuclear bombs. That's what they want to do. They want to continue stringing the U.S. along, build up those weapons. They don't want a seat at the table. They want to blow up the table. Specifically, they want to blow up Israel.
Netanyahu also says he would not take off the table of targeting Iran's supreme leader. President Trump and Canada at the G7 summit calling on Iran to finalize a nuclear deal. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Tel Aviv, where the search for survivors continues after Iran's ballistic missile hit.
New concerns that the United States could be dragged further into the conflict. 2 U.S. officials telling ABC News President Trump earlier rejecting an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, civilians now increasingly caught in the crossfire of a conflict that shows no sign of easing.
The president also talking trade with world leaders at the summit, speaking alongside Canada's prime minister about a potential deal. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
What is clear, just judging by this interaction so far, is I'm not sure if these two sides are any closer to actually making a deal. So far, the president, since initiating this trade war, has really only announced one agreement sort of with the UK and a framework with China, but we have not seen anything else really in depth coming from this ongoing trade war.
New Jersey's Supreme Court ruling today that a grand jury can examine allegations of clergy sexual abuse of children. The Catholic Diocese had tried to block cases from proceeding for years, but now no longer will oppose that. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. The person who fired the shots that killed an innocent bystander at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City over the weekend is being called a peacekeeper by law enforcement. There are still a lot of unanswered questions about whether that person came armed on their own volition or if they were somehow designated by organizers. Joining me now live to talk about what this could mean is local gun rights advocate Clark Aposhan. Thanks for being with me today.
No problem. Thank you.
Help us out with this. Can any registered gun owner with a permit carry bring a gun to a public event like this?
Well, we don't have registered gun owners. We don't register guns here in Utah. And but yes, the citizens here, I mean, residents of Utah and visitors to Utah, as long as they're otherwise lawfully allowed to possess a firearm, can carry that firearm in public spaces.
Okay, but when can they fire a firearm in public spaces?
When they find that it is exigently necessary to protect themselves or an innocent third party. And when that level of force is reasonably believed by them to be necessary to protect themselves to get back home.
Does the culpability in this case change if this peacekeeper was hired as security versus if they came of their own accord?
Well, it certainly adds a different element. And in Utah, if you're a contract security, working for some other entity, you're required to be licensed. And if you're carrying a gun, you're required to have an armed security license. And with that comes the contract security company, which has insurance and that type of thing. So it's a different thing. And so I don't know I've never heard of the specific term peacekeeper. I don't think we have that in code or in rule anywhere. But if this was a contract security person, they would have to be licensed by Department of Professional Licensing here in Utah.
Right. When I think of a peacekeeper, the only time I think I've heard that term is in kind of a war zone kind of thing,
like NATO,
or international peacekeeper kind of context. So the man
go ahead. But I mean, in fact, I posed the question, and I'm honestly asking this: is being shot and killed by a peacekeeper the price we pay to be protected by peacekeepers? No, I don't know that. Now, you have to think about it. There were police everywhere. And yet in those extremely exigent moments of time, those seconds, they weren't right there. Who was there? An armed citizen. They're calling him a peacekeeper right now, as an armed citizen, and very well may have stopped many more deaths. And yes, it does happen. Civilians do shoot innocent people, but actually, when you look at the data, far, far less than engaging law enforcement does.
Yeah, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, no doubt about it. We're still waiting for more details about what actually happened here. But let's talk about the man who was arrested who was carrying the AR-15 style rifle. Now, we don't believe he fired it. Was he allowed to carry that into a protest?
Yes, you can. Unless, of course, you have evil intent, and then you cannot even be in possession of it. But, I mean, the moment he put that rifle in there with the intent to do that, he was committing a crime, whether or not he had actually taken it out or not at that point. But, yes, people can carry them. And we don't see a lot of that, but it is illegal to do. Now, if you are otherwise prohibited from possessing a firearm, then no, of course you can't.
All right. Anything you'd like to add on this case?
I think that, there's 21.5 million licensed concealed carry holders in the nation right now, plus the 29 states that, like Utah, don't even require a permit to conceal a firearm. They far, far outnumber law enforcement, which is like 650,000 in the nation. So it's much more likely that an armed civilian is going to be present and engage that person than law enforcement would.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Mm-hmm.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Clark Aposhian, who is a local gun rights advocate. Let's get you up to date with traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's happening on the roads, Ricky?
Back to a crash-free commute. That's on our freeways and our main secondaries and many of our side streets. However, we do have slowdowns southbound I-15 leaving Kaysville and going towards Farmington, especially there by Burton Lane. If you're on that stretch, remember we've had road work there in that area. Road work also causing some possible slowdowns for Tooele County drivers southbound SR 36 Main Street in Mills Junction and Stansbury Park. Jordan Valley Water says we're using about 12% more water than last year, even though we don't need to. Do your part. Water one day less each week. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. The skies will remain dry, but the temperatures move around a bit. I got 93 today, partly cloudy and breezy. 87 tomorrow, bit cooler, sunshine. Back to the 90s on Wednesday, mostly sunny, 92. How about our first triple on the season? It looks likely this Thursday, 101. Breezy with sunny skies. Mostly sunny and windy, 98 on your Friday. Saturday, 92, breezy, mostly sunny, down to 76 for a high by Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Partly cloudy, 87 degrees downtown, 7-day forecast. Brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. A quick check of the markets. Wow. In positive territory, the Dow and the NASDAQ both up by the Dow more than 300 points, NASDAQ nearly 300 points. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff. Many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, Come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at arcticspasutah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah, Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
KSL News Time 1226. The nation's capital was the scene of a massive military parade on Saturday with President Trump in attendance. ABC's Ann Flaherty says it's still not clear how much it all cost taxpayers.
We know that the Army is planning to spend anywhere from $25 million to $45 million. It's a really wide range just to move the troops and that equipment into D.C. for that day. The bigger question, though, here is how much did security cost? How much did the National Park Service have to pay? Did the city government have to cough up money for security, for example? We've been asking the White House now for weeks, what is an estimate? And they just simply won't answer.
It was billed as a celebration of the U.S. Army's 250th birthday. It was also the president's 79th birthday. Watching Utah's money, importers from China are reportedly spending more than originally thought thanks to tariff stacking. Reuters reports importers are paying new tariffs on top of the old ones, and it's adding up to more than 70% of the original cost. Nippon Steel shares are up after the Trump administration approved a $14.9 billion bid for U.S. steel. Japanese company has been working on a deal for the past 18 months. KSL drives. Gas prices are a little more expensive in Utah today. The average price per gallon in the state is $3.26. That's compared to $3.14 nationally. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 337 points, sitting at 42,535. S&P up by 55 points. The NASDAQ up by 1.5%, up 282 points.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Nothing says summer like double rewards on your Mountain America Rewards credit card. Get 2 times the points on everything from gas and groceries to travel and home projects. Now through July 31st, 2025. Oh, wow. It's the perfect way to stretch your dollar and make summer doubly rewarding. Apply for your Mountain America Rewards credit card at macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
KSL Amanda Dixon will be at the Trucordia Insurance Building in Linden Wednesday at 11 to help celebrate some $6 billion news. Trucordia is one of the biggest companies in Utah and getting bigger. Let's check your traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Ricky Meese.
If you're making your way southbound on I-15 in Davis County, you do have traffic that's crowded and slow. It's where they've been doing some road work going from the Kaysville Ponds to Park Lane in Farmington down by Lagoon. Most of it is centered around Burton Lane, if that gives you an idea where to expect the brake lights. If you're on the Salt Lake County freeways or I-15 in Utah County, you are good to go. Garden City, Utah, in beautiful Bear Lake, presents Little Texas on July 5th at Garden City Heritage Park. Games, live music, and a fireworks show, all free. Visit bearlake.org for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures running above normal today with a high of 93 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and an occasional breeze out of the southwest. 66 overnight, mostly clear skies. I got sunshine tomorrow, 87, jumps back to 92 by Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now in downtown Salt Lake City, 87 degrees.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time 1230. KSL's top story this half hour. We're expecting to get more details from police today on the shooting at a Westfest celebration in West Valley last night. 3 people, including an infant, were killed. Police arrested a 16-year-old that they believe fired the shots after a fight broke out between 2 groups. Legal experts say the 16-year-old will likely end up facing adult charges. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
KSL legal analyst and host of Inside Sources, Greg Skorda, says under Utah law, a person accused of killing 3 people would be eligible for the death penalty, but not in this case.
But this is a 16-year-old, and so they're treated a lot differently under Utah law.
Skorda says in the 90s, Utah law changed, making it easier to charge juveniles as adults, and he expects that will happen in this case. But
we cannot execute 16, 17-year-olds or anyone under the age of 18 under our law.
Skorda says the district attorney will decide what charges to bring forward. A juvenile court judge will then decide if the case moves up to adult court, which Skorda says is very likely. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson says the county probably needs to take a stronger look at security of all of the summer festivals following the shooting at Westfest.
I think the question becomes, what cost? We pass on costs to our taxpayers when we secure them with additional barriers, check-ins. It may be that we need to move to those types of setups.
Wilson joined Inside Sources this morning. She called the Westfest shooting, as well as the shooting at a peaceful protest in Salt Lake City Saturday, tragic. She went on to say hateful rhetoric, discriminatory practices, and violence is tearing apart our nation, and we must continue to work together to create a future that represents a better America. The next time you call 911 in Salt Lake City, you might not be talking to a human. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla explains.
The 911 Communications Bureau says only 30% of incoming calls are actual emergencies. This AI automated system would help sort them from the non-emergency calls. Bureau Director Lisa Keogh says it will be extremely helpful in the future since Utah's population is growing and more people will be visiting before and during the 2034 Olympics.
We understand that tourism is on the horizon. Any method of reducing call volumes and keeping the lines open for 911 calls is a valuable option that we feel is important to pursue at this time. We'd rather be ahead of it than behind it.
Keogh says it will also help with staffing. The budget allows for 100 full-time dispatchers, but they're having a hard time keeping those positions filled. About 15 of them are currently open. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. Israeli officials now say at least 5 people have been killed in a new wave of missile attacks from Iran. This after a strike that hit Tel Aviv last week. ABC News chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is there.
Overnight, more Iranian strikes in Israel. Retaliation, it says, for Israel's attack on its nuclear, military and energy infrastructure. This is the latest salvo in a deepening conflict between Israel and Iran. Tehran's attack coming hours after Israel launched strikes across Iran, hitting surface-to-surface missile sites and a gas depot on Sunday, with huge columns of smoke rising above the skyline.
Iran says more than 220 people have died since the conflict began, and in Israel, at least 24 people have been killed. The Israeli military has told residents in parts of Iran's capital to evacuate as the escalating retaliatory attacks continue. President Trump is in Canada for the G7 summit today. Before the day began, the president and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney sat down for talks. The president expressed criticism for Russia getting kicked out of the meeting of the world's richest nations. They were uninvited right after invading Crimea in 2014.
He was very insulted. And, I mean, he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people, along with Obama. He was thrown out. And he's not a happy person about it, I can tell you that.
The G7 leaders will be discussing continued support for Ukraine and how to end Russia's war there. Lawyers for Harvard University and the Trump administration were in federal court in Boston this morning, arguing over the government's plans to ban Harvard from accepting any foreign students.
The hearing saw a lawyer for the Trump administration arguing that Harvard can't be trusted, that the school isn't properly monitoring its students or sufficiently cracking down on anti-Semitism. Harvard's lawyer said the vetting of visa holders is the government's responsibility, and he argued the university is being retaliated against for not bending to the administration's far-reaching demands. Judge Allison Burroughs has extended her temporary restraining order, which had been set to expire this coming Thursday, until next Monday, while she considers whether to impose a longer-lasting injunction.
That is ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. First look traffic. What's going on, Ricky?
We do have slowdowns in Davis County, southbound I-15, right in that work zone. It'll fill in and come almost to a complete stop and then get going again. So watch for this southbound I-15 near Burton Lane, going between Kaysville and Farmington. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:36.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Tonight at 10, disappearing labor and delivery options.
Contractions hurt. That's not really safe to be driving yourself 2 hours.
Leaving mothers hours away from care.
She had her baby in the ambulance.
KSL uncovers the maternity care gap.
We've seen 4 birthing facilities closing in the last dozen years.
And plans to protect moms-to-be.
It's tough, and it's why we're working on it.
Labor and delivery, vanishing access. Tonight at 10 on KSL.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. A 16-year-old has been arrested and accused of shooting and killing 3 people at Westfest in West Valley City last night. Legal experts say he will likely be charged as an adult. KSL News Time, 12:38. Police say it looks like the death of a 2-year-old over the weekend at a campground in Summit County is nothing other than a tragic accident. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The family had been staying in a camping trailer in the Manorlands area. It was around 10 a.m. when Summit County Police got the report the child had gone missing. Police spokesperson Skylar Talbot says the child was found in a drainage a mile downstream from the campsite. The toddler was taken to 2 different hospitals, and it was in the Salt Lake Hospital where they later died.
This is an incredibly difficult time
And, we certainly want to emphasize that our hearts are with that entire family as they grieve this heartbreaking loss.
Talbot says right now there's nothing to suggest this was anything other than a tragic accident. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
The state of Utah expects to receive $57 million following a settlement involving the maker of OxyContin. Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family were being accused of aggressively marketing opioid medications as safe.
If just one of them would have said, hey, we need to look at this again. This doesn't look like it's a good thing for patients. We'd be in a different place.
Margaret Woolley-Bussey, who directs the Utah Department of Commerce, applauds the settlement. The money for the settlement will be added to $540 million from an earlier settlement used to help state and county efforts to deal with opioid problems. There is a new warning from the FDA about products marketed as energy shots or cognitive supplements sold at gas stations, convenience stores, and vape shops.
Sometimes called gas station heroin for its opioid-like effects, these elixirs, pills, and powders with names like Neptune's Fix and Zaza contain tianeptine, a drug that's never been approved by the FDA and can be addictive and cause serious side effects. The FDA, in a new letter to health professionals, warns about the magnitude of the underlying danger of these products.
ABC's Allison Kosick reporting. The Yellowstone TV universe is returning to Utah. The Utah Film Commission announced new state incentives for 4 new productions. One of them is a spin-off of the popular series Yellowstone called Why Marshals. The Yellowstone series got its start in Utah, filming the first 3 seasons at Utah Film Studios in Park City before that production moved to Montana. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's happening, Ricky?
We do have a slow drive southbound I-15 going from the Kaysville Ponds down to Lagoon in Farmington. However, it's in that work zone, so that road work is causing these slowdowns. If you're in the Kaysville area, you'll see the delays, especially as you're approaching the Burton Lane area on the way to Farmington. But that's it. Overall, Valley Freeway traffic in good shape and no accidents reported at this time. Create a sanctuary in the yard with bedding plants from Olson's Greenhouse. Locally grown quality flowers to adorn containers on the porch, beds, or patio. For tips and ideas, visit ogg.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
All right, the work week starts off with a 93 today. Classic summer weather, partly cloudy skies, and a bit of a breeze. 66 overnight, clouds decreasing. 87 tomorrow, that'll feel really nice with a bit of sunshine. Mostly sunny, and 92 Wednesday with more heat headed into the weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
A lot of clouds have now moved in, 87 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And coming up on Midday, with 2 deadly shootings at public events this weekend, many public officials are telling people not to fear going to similar events. We'll talk to a former police chief about it. That's coming up, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. If you were thinking now is the time to take off those extra pounds, you've been researching diet plans, but you're a little confused, I want to tell you why Salt Lake City fat loss has worked for me. I have lost more than 40 pounds with this great plan, and one of the reasons is that, it takes the frustration out of losing weight because you lose the weight quickly, and it's an all-natural plan, so there aren't any injections or surgeries or medications or side effects that you have to worry about. An all-natural plan, a simple combination of foods that help melt off that stored fat. Plus, it's an easy-to-follow plan with some great resources that keep you accountable. They have a great app. It gives you daily ideas of how to be successful with a 1-minute inspirational video every morning, and then a bunch of recipes and things just to help you get more excited about eating healthy food. You can save $200 now. Just find out more at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them 801-450-1882. Wouldn't it be great to lose up to a pound per day? Just go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning.
Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information. And never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Selling or buying a home, you're losing a lot of money if you're not using the Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at Realty Path. Nothing compares to the Bank Buster loan. Home sellers, you get a quicker sale and a higher net price. How? The buyer of your home gets a rate as low as 4.75% with a payment that saves them hundreds every month. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate is not a seller concession that comes out of your pocket. It's all thanks to our affiliate lender, Save Right Mortgage, and their Bank Buster loan. Hire the Save Right Realtors when you sell or buy a home, and you automatically get a preferred lender and a Bank Buster loan. Buyers, you can start with a rate in the ones. Don't lose tens of thousands of your hard-earned money. Sell and buy your home with a Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
KSL News Time, 1245. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
the suspect in the Westfest shooting that killed 3 people is only 16, but legal experts expect this case will end up in adult court. I'm KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson.
Second, Salt Lake City is looking at artificial intelligence to help take incoming 911 calls. The 911 Communications Bureau says it will only be for non-emergency calls. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
It's southbound I-15 with delays again today. It's in the construction zone as you go from the Kaysville Ponds to Lagoon by Park Lane in Farmington. It is bogged down mostly right around Burton Lane, but if you're traveling that area, those delays could build. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Hot and a little bit breezy today, then a cool down tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 87 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. For the first time, the State Department has issued a do not travel warning for all of Israel and the West Bank due to ongoing strikes between Israel and Iran. GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson announced he's postponed his scheduled trip to Israel in an exclusive interview with ABC's Jonathan Karl. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says rounds of talks with Iran and the U.S. were stalling so Iran could keep building its nuclear arsenal, and Israel had to act.
We're fighting this larger war against this oppressive regime that has oppressed the Iranian people for 46 years, that has spread mayhem, violence, and terror throughout the Middle East and well beyond.
Israel says at least 24 people have died in Iranian missile strikes. Iran says more than 220 people have died in days of Israeli strikes. The Middle East conflict at the top of the agenda at the G7 summit in Canada. President Trump urging Iran to finalize a nuclear deal. He's also holding talks with leaders on possible trade deals. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. We had 2 deadly shootings over the weekend. In one, an innocent bystander was shot at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City after a peacekeeper fired at a person they believed had an AR-15 style rifle. In another, 3 people, including an infant, were killed at West Valley City's Westfest after a fight broke out between 2 groups. But Chris Bertram, retired deputy chief of police, says that we shouldn't fear going to these types of events because police are ready for them.
You know, here's the thing, and we've had other protests. Remember, we've had protests in Utah where people have believed that their lives were threatened and they've fired guns. And so that is something that has gone and has been being litigated in some cases in the criminal, courts. But I will tell you, Heather, I think that we live in a very safe state. And we, when we have big events, whether it's a parade or a gathering in downtown or, at another area, like Westfest, these are things that don't happen often. And I always say, if you're going to go to a big event, whether it's a concert or anything, you need to, keep a little situational awareness. It's supposed to be a fun event. We don't want to think about fears at that time. But I think these remind us that sometimes these events can have, incidents like this happen. the majority of which in Utah go on without any issues.
Bertram speaking to KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. He also had some tips.
Always, keep in mind that, you're at a big event, whether it's a parade or a large gathering or a concert, always keep in mind, where that exit is. If something happens, a fire breaks out, and a fight breaks out, what is it that I'm going to do? Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind so you're not preparing during that chaotic moment. Think about it beforehand. Also bring, I tell this especially to women and young women, my college students a lot. If you're going to these events, be aware, keep your head on a swivel. Take a friend. You're always going to have that wingman, and stay together in these type of situations, and think about where is it that we're going to meet, or if we get separated, where do we meet? What happens if something happens? Where are we going to go? Keep those things in mind, and again, it's not meant to ruin your event. I mean, I'm a retired police officer. I'm hyper vigilant all the time. I don't expect people to be hyper vigilant, but I also, understand that, there are things that are, a wide variety of things that are at risk, and just kind of keep one of those things in mind as you go into this. And then enjoy yourself, and hope that we never have to use it. Those skills that we think about, or that hypervigilance that sometimes we have to practice during those events. And then we're not thinking about it during the chaotic moments when they just happen.
Chris Bertram is a retired deputy chief of police. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
No accidents on your freeways or your main secondaries, but we do have a spot of slowing. It's in Davis County, southbound I-15 between the Kaysville Ponds down to Park Lane in Farmington by Lagoon. It's in that work zone, especially concentrated near Burton Lane. But once you're past that, you're good to go. So just allow for an extra 5, maybe 10 minutes to get through that stretch when you're traveling through Davis County on southbound I-15. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Believe it or not, the temperatures are actually going to be on a bit of a roller coaster ride. I got today's high at 93, partly cloudy, breezy, high fire danger in central and southern Utah. 87 tomorrow, sunshine. That'll feel quite nice. 92, hot again on Wednesday. Sunshine with a high of 101 on Thursday, breezy. Windy, 98 on your Friday. Saturday, 92, but Sunday crashing down to 76 with sunny skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Things are heating up in downtown Salt Lake City. Mostly cloudy, 87 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets. The Dow up by more than 300 points. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
Do you want to make your house more comfortable, more energy efficient, more valuable? Well, maybe it's time you took a look at your doors and windows. And there's nobody around who does doors and windows better than Peach Doors and Windows.
Improve the functionality of your home with custom replacement windows, entry doors, patio doors. Maybe you have a sunroom, or you want a new custom front door and windows to maximize the beauty of your home. Peach offers flexible financing available to fit any budget. They've got expert installation, including fiberglass doors, which are their specialty, and they'll replace your windows with the highest energy efficiency rating.
And customer service is a top priority. It's the reason why they have so many 5-star reviews on Google. You can check it out for yourself. You can also check them out online at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can call for a free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255.
Or see them in person, 2940 South 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Go check out their beautiful showroom. It's Peach Doors and Windows.
Got an app idea? You're sitting on a gold mine, but stuck on how to bring it to life? Meet Dev Simplify, your superheroes for web and mobile app creation. Dev Simplify. DevSimplify.com. Just ask Coach Mike with Practice Planner Live.
You know, as a coach, technology isn't my strength, but Dev Simplify took my idea for Practice Planner Live and turned it into the top practice planning platform on the market. They transformed my non-technical vision into an incredible web and mobile app that coaches like me now can't live without.
See, you don't need to be a tech wizard. Your idea plus Dev Simplify's superhero software skills equals a big win. Right, Mike?
You know, I had big plans for my app, and with Dev Simplify's help, it's now a thriving must-have platform for all coaches.
Dev Simplify, turning your brilliant ideas into amazing web and mobile. No tech skills required. Visit devsimplify.com and let the magic begin. devsimplify.com.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
KSL News Time 12:54. Spain may be a hot European tourist destination, but this weekend visitors to Barcelona got a less than warm welcome.
Protests erupting in Barcelona, with some demonstrators turning toy water guns at tourists. They say the short-term rentals popular with vacationers are eating up valuable housing and driving up the cost of living for locals. American tourist Wanda Dorozensky says she sees their point of view.
These people are feeling something that is to them very personal, and it's perhaps destroying some of their areas.
Barcelona hosted 15.5 million visitors last year. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, millions of Americans are seeing their credit scores fall now that the U.S. government has resumed taking student loan payments. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says about 1 in 4 people with student loan accounts were more than 90 days behind on payments at the end of March. Popular retailer At Home has filed for bankruptcy. CNN reports the filing is because of tariffs and a slowdown in consumer spending. Company has reportedly entered an agreement with lenders that will eliminate the $2 billion the company has in debt. More people are looking for travel insurance. Reuters reports it comes as more flights get canceled or delayed and other disruptions are on the rise. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 337 points, sitting at 42,535. S&P is up by 55 points, and the NASDAQ, it's up by 1.5%, up by 282 points.
We were living in D.C. and we were ready to buy our first house, but it was in Salt Lake City.
I found out through family that the house that my dad grew up in was put on the market.
We had less than 24 hours to put an offer in, and it happened to be on New Year's Eve.
So we immediately contacted our realtor. She was on it from the very beginning. We got the house.
We got the house. Being 2,000 miles away, our realtor really helped us. And there's no way we would have gotten the house if we didn't have our realtor.
Discover how a realtor can make a real difference at myrealtorstory.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
No crashes on your freeways or your main secondaries, but we do have a spot of delay. It's southbound I-15 and starts just after the Kaysville Ponds, and you won't see better speeds until you're reaching the Highway 89 merge in Farmington. Don't miss the 91st annual Ute Stampede Rodeo with Extreme Bulls on July 9th through 12th. Athletes and explosive entertainment combined with music, food, and multiple days of family fun. Visit UtestampedeRodeo.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Not much chance of rain in the 7-day forecast. In fact, it says 0% right now for the next 7 days. Today's high 93 degrees, dropping down to 87 tomorrow, but you can expect us to reach the triple digits by Thursday, 101 on Thursday. And then luckily it's not going to stay there for very long because by Sunday the temperature will drop back down into the upper 70s. Right now, mostly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City and 87 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Chaos on the streets of downtown Salt Lake City following a deadly shooting at a peaceful protest.
There were just a rush of people coming from the south on 200 East and were running past us, dropping their signs, fright and fear in their faces as they ran past us. Some of them ducked into the alcove where I was standing.
The time is 1 o'clock on Monday, June 16th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll go in depth on the so-called peacekeepers who allegedly fired the fatal shots. Also this hour,
those are the small things that we're going to miss in our community, is having someone who respects and honors people.
Honoring the life and legacy of the victim in all of this, Afa Alu. But first, our top stories. A bystander at Salt Lake City's No King protest, is being called a hero after he stopped a man allegedly carrying a rifle in a backpack. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera has the story.
Sam Hernandez says he and his wife were scrambling to find a way out. People were running in all directions, trying to get away from the sound of gunfire. That's when Hernandez spotted a man nearby with a rifle sticking out of his backpack. He told Inside Sources he didn't hesitate.
I grab it, I yell out for the police. The police come right away, swarm him, take him down. There was blood on his hands, I remember, in his cuticles, like he had cleaned his hands off.
Hernandez says they were shaken, but thankfully they didn't bring their 3 kids, fearing something like this might happen. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, protests continued over the weekend.
Protests have been rocking Southern California for over a week, with Saturday ending in another night of violence. But Sunday was calm around L.A., and the LAPD says no arrests were made related to protests. That is a first in about a week. Overall, since June 7th, the LAPD has made 575 arrests related to protests, and 10 LAPD officers have been injured. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Israel struck Iran's state-run television station during a live broadcast, forcing a reporter to run off camera following an explosion. This latest attack came after Iran fired a new wave of missiles at Israel that killed at least 8 people. Israel warned hundreds of thousands of people in the middle of Tehran to evacuate today ahead of the strike against the TV station, which military said provided a cover for Iranian military operations. At the G7 summit today, President Trump says he wants both sides to come to the table.
They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
Talks on Iran's nuclear program brokered by the U.S. broke down. Iran says more than 220 people have died since the conflict began, and in Israel, at least 24 people have been killed. The Louvre Museum has failed to open on time today, leaving thousands of visitors stuck in long, unmoving lines. A union representative said staff at the world's most visited museum are protesting working conditions. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by the Dow is up by 300 points, about 0.75%, sitting at 42,496. S&P 500 up by 53. The Nasdaq is up by 282 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Crash-free, delay-free on your Salt Lake County freeways, but southbound I-15 remains a little clogged and slow as you go from Kaysville into Farmington. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Thermometer headed up to 93 degrees for a high today. No chance of rain, an overnight low near 67, and pretty much staying that way through to Thursday. Then Thursday, the temperature up to 101. Right now, 83 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Got an app idea? You're sitting on a gold mine, but stuck on how to bring it to life? Meet Dev Simplify, your superheroes for web and mobile app creation. Dev Simplify. DevSimplify.com. Just ask Coach Mike with Practice Planner Live.
You know, as a coach, technology isn't my strength, but Dev Simplify took my idea for Practice Planner Live and turned it into the top practice planning platform on the market. They transformed my non-technical vision into an incredible web and mobile app that coaches like me now can't live without.
See, you don't need to be a tech wizard. Your idea plus Dev Simplify's superhero software skills equals a big win. Right, Mike?
You know, I had big plans for my app, and with Dev Simplify's help, it's now a thriving must-have platform for all coaches.
Dev Simplify, turning your brilliant ideas into amazing web and mobile. No tech skills required. Visit DevSimplify.com and let the magic begin. DevSimplify.com.
Terror and tragedy on the streets of Salt Lake City this weekend as a once peaceful protest turned deadly. The victim, an innocent 39-year-old bystander named Arthur Alu, known to his friends and family as Afa. The shooter, a so-called peacekeeper, helping at that event. Now, the scene, chaotic and intense. A warning for those of you in your car, this audio does contain sirens. This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. There was also a deadly shooting in West Valley City last night at Westfest. We'll have more on that at 1:30. In Salt Lake City, hundreds of people running for cover Saturday night. Arturo Gamboa arrested on suspicion of murder. Here's where it gets a little complicated. Gamboa allegedly attended the protest and brought a rifle. A peacekeeper saw him with that rifle, told him to drop it, and shot at Gamboa. Afa was struck by one of those shots. Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd recounting the events during a press conference.
Witnesses say Gamboa raised the weapon in a firing position and began running toward the crowd. One of the individuals fired 3 rounds, striking Gamboa and tragically striking the man who later died.
Sam Hernandez was there and explained the chaos to Inside Sources this morning.
As we got around the corner of 2nd South, I believe that's when people started running at first. We didn't hear shots fired at all yet. It was mostly just people running, saying gun. So we had headed east. I believe we got to the corner of, or maybe it was 1st South and 2nd East, around there. And then we started heading south, and then the cops were saying head north. And so we all felt a little corralled, like we didn't know where to go. We went north, east, south. Everyone's telling us to go different ways.
Hernandez taking the backpack containing the rifle away from Gamboa, alerting police to take him into custody.
We see a group of people and we're yelling, no, the shooter's that way. And that's when I first saw the guy with the gun. And I went and, I was telling him to run. And I look down and I see the butt stock of a rifle, like it's folded back. And I ask him, I said, what are you doing? And he's like, I came to protest. And right at that moment, a wave of police officers came our way telling us to run, back. So we all just hid. I don't know. I didn't hide with him or anything. It was just me and my wife trying to take cover. I don't know where he went. But looking at the video, I guess we were all sort of there with other people as well. So then we're taking cover in between the cars there, and we finally get clearance from the cops. Head north, head north, head north. So we run, hands up, and we run to that southwest corner where we were all hiding under that alcove of the building. Once I got there, I was mentioning to other guys around me, I said, man, this is weird. It feels like we're getting corralled. I don't know if this is the right spot to be. We just felt trapped. And as I was talking about, I look back, and the man with the gun sitting crouched in front of this crowd. And I tell the guys, I say, this guy doesn't look right. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? My wife's right there. She's like, what are we going to do? And I said, I didn't really think about it. I just went over there and I said, hey, what was that gun in your bag, man? And he's like, he just looks at me, and I grab the bag. I just grab it. He goes for it, and I just grab it, and I hold it up, and I start walking out towards the sidewalk because I didn't want to get shot or anything myself or mistaken as the guy. I just hold it up and I start saying, rifle, this is a rifle in here. And when I grabbed the bag, I did see the barrel end of the gun. Grab it. I yell out for the police. The police come right away, swarm him, take him down.
Ben Behunin was standing nearby when police arrested Gamboa.
There were just a rush of people coming from the south on 200 East, and were running past us, dropping their signs, fright and fear in their faces as they ran past us. Some of them ducked into the alcove where I was standing. This building had a bit of an alcove there. And there were probably about 40 people or so that had kind of taken shelter there. And a man and his wife, Sam Hernandez and his wife, came up, and I began talking with them. They looked flustered. And as Sam was talking to me, he looked over my shoulder and saw a guy with a backpack that had taken shelter in the same alcove and was kind of blending in with the rest of them. He said, "That's the guy I saw with a gun." And he went up to him and grabbed his backpack and said, "You're the shooter, you're the shooter," and grabs his backpack and pulls it away from him. And the police, Sam immediately yells to the police that had gathered close by, and they tackle this guy and handcuff him. He's, bleeding from his finger, bleeding from his side. And the backpack's pulled away, and a gun stock is coming out of his backpack. And, then everybody's scattering as the police take control of the situation, grateful that they were there.
Hernandez saying that the entire event happened so quickly.
It was just a real fast-paced. I mean, we didn't want to be in that situation. We had 3 children that we left home because of the worry that this could have went, violent like it did. And we spoke to the officer and just got out of there as fast as we could because I wasn't sure if there was more shooters. We walked all the way back to 9th South, me and my wife, and we were scared the whole time. But yeah, just a real tragic situation.
Police say the investigation is still underway, and as right now, official charges have not been filed against Gamboa or the peacekeeper who actually fired the deadly shots. After this 1-minute break, we'll take a look at the life and legacy of the victim in this situation, Afa. Stay with us.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The deadly shooting during the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City left one man dead on Saturday night. According to the police investigation so far, 39-year-old Arthur Alu was shot by a peacekeeper at the march. He was an innocent bystander. Known by friends and family as Afa, he is a well-known figure in the Pacific Islander community. Those who knew him and loved him say that this loss is devastating. KSL 5 TV's Shelby Lofton takes a closer look at the life and legacy of Afa.
We lost a very important person this morning.
In the hours after a protest turned into mayhem, some of the marchers returned to downtown to pay their respects to a man they never knew.
We all need to, definitely process this in our own way and hopefully come together.
Utah State Representative Verona Maunga knew him very well.
Afa and I often refer to each other as family.
She was with Afa Alu at the No Kings rally at Pioneer Park.
Afa is a person who believed in equity and equality for all people.
She says she wasn't with him when the shooting happened.
Everyone went running.
But when Alu didn't check in with his friends, they knew something had gone wrong.
It was a great time until it wasn't. Unfortunately, there was a terrible act of violence.
The 39-year-old father and renowned fashion designer from Samoa recently became an American citizen.
He wanted to be very much a part of what America is and a part of the American dream.
He competed on Project Runway, but Maunga says he was always willing to make clothes for the people in his life.
If he knew that I was going to a gala or a ball, he would call me up and say, hey, come to my studio and take my measurements and design me a gown.
He also led workshops teaching people how to sew.
He brought joy and laughter to community, and he shared his art and his talents so freely with people.
Maunga says she's thinking of his family.
He was a husband and a father of two beautiful children who cared about people and cared about community.
KSL 5 TV's Shelby Lofton reporting there. State Representative Verona Mauna sharing one of her last treasured memories of Afa.
Last week was the Pride Parade. And when he found out that I was going to walk with them, sorry, I don't want to share. When he found out that I was going to walk with him, him and another member of the other founder of Creative Pacific went and got a convertible for me to sit in. I've walked in the Pride Parade many times, and I told them, no, I will not sit in a car and wave like I'm a beauty pageant. But because of the respect and honor he had for my position in government, and I think just for our friendship, he would not let me walk. But that's just a story that shares who Afa was and the way he loved people and the way he deeply cared for other people. And those are the small things that we're going to miss in our community is having someone who respects and honors people and in such meaningful ways.
A GoFundMe has been set up to help the family with funeral expenses. You can find a link on our website, kslnewsradio.com. After the break, we'll chat with a former law enforcement officer about the peacekeepers involved in the situation, along with things you need to know to stay safe in a crowd. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We are still seeing some slow speeds southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Farmington, but that's it. The rest of your Salt Lake County freeways, nice and quiet. Celebrate freedom in Paris, Idaho. 4th of July Chuck Wagon Breakfast and Parade. On the 5th, a 5K run, Junior Rodeo, Craft Vendor Fair, and free concert. Visit bearlake.org for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The wait is almost over. After 2 years of renovation, the perfect downtown lunch spot is now almost open. The Garden Restaurant opens on June 30th. The Garden Restaurant offers a beautifully designed space and deliciously fresh menu. It's close to everything downtown next to the Temple Square block. If you need something quick and on the go, or to meet a client, friend, or place to relax, the Garden Restaurant offers healthy options like handcrafted sandwiches, soups, unique salads, plus traditional favorites like homemade pot pies and the famous Lion House rolls. The Garden's new look and tasty menu offers something for everyone, featuring dine-in, patio seating, lobby seating, and grab-and-go or quick online ordering. Visit the Garden today. Reimagine space with remarkable taste. Easy street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant, opening next week, June 30th. See you there.
It's the time for summertime grilling, and everybody prides themselves on being the absolute best at the backyard barbecue. Everybody has their secrets, everybody has their recipe, everybody has the skills. But I'll tell you, nobody can beat the grilling skills of a great steak like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I know there's a time and place for the backyard barbecue, but if you're really looking for everything to be just right, let Ruth's Chris Steakhouse do all the work. The perfect steak with the perfect temperature, served by people who are so glad you're there, and they take care of you, and the side dishes, the desserts, and here's a great part, there's no clean up at all. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, they do all the work at either of their locations, 275 Southwest Temple in downtown Salt Lake City, and of course, up in the mountain environment of Hotel Park City. It's time to grill at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Chatting today with Debbie about her experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. Now, Debbie, you had a huge project. How did it go?
My experience was wonderful. I worked with Taylor, and if he was my son, I'd be very proud.
That's quite the endorsement. What were the details of your project?
I had 2 bathrooms done, a new kitchen, and a pretty large flooring project.
And did they get it done in the time frame you were expecting?
Well, it took 2 weeks because it was a big job.
Did the quality of work meet your expectations?
Yes, it was excellent.
Would you recommend 3-Day Kitchen and Bath to someone that was deliberating on redoing their kitchen or bathroom?
I would, and I have already.
Sounds like you'd give them a 5-star rating.
I did.
There you have it. Another 3-Day Kitchen and Bath satisfied customer. Request your in-home consultation today at 877-229-8829 or online at 3daykitchen.com.
It's about time at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are continuing our coverage of the tragic and deadly shooting at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City over the weekend. A peacekeeper fired shots at Arturo Gamboa, who was at the event with a semi-automatic rifle. Witnesses describing the chaos that ensued after those shots rang out.
As we got around the corner of 2nd South, I believe that's when people started running at first. We didn't hear shots fired at all yet. It was mostly just people running, saying gun. So we had headed east. I believe we got to the corner of, or maybe it was first south and second east, around there. And then we started heading south. And then the cops were saying head north. And so we all felt a little corralled, like we didn't know where to go. We went north, east, south. Everyone's telling us to go different ways.
At the center of this entire situation is someone being called a peacekeeper, the man who ultimately shot 39-year-old Arthur Alu, known to his community as Afa. We have a lot of questions about the peacekeepers and police response, so we are grateful to be joined now by Chris Burbank, former chief of police for the Salt Lake City Police Department. First of all, Chris, can you talk about the peacekeepers? I mean, what are they? Did you ever use them when you were on the force, and how does this work?
Well, I wish I could talk about them. I don't have any idea. It wasn't something that I had ever heard of. In fact, this was the first term. The questions that I really have are who hired these people or who authorized them to carry a gun and to potentially use deadly force in a crowd of people. I mean, this is a big liability situation, and I think whoever authorized that, whether it's the city, the police department, or the organizers, bear some responsibility in what the outcome of this event was.
Any indication why they would be called peacekeepers? You haven't even heard of this term.
No. In fact, I spent some time Googling it when I first heard it, and even that is not clear-cut, right? I mean, it certainly talks about peacekeeping forces, United Nations, and things like that, but this is not a definitional thing that, everyone knows about, and these are the people who should do it. One of the things that I think is important, Maria, that we all recognize, so officers, when they're involved in shootings across the country, hit about 17% of the time. Their accuracy is about 17%. Do we really think that armed civilians are going to do better than that? And why would we ever authorize somebody to take that sort of action, especially in a crowd?
So if police knew about the peacekeepers or possibly, they wouldn't have hired the peacekeepers, right? Somebody else would have done that.
I would hope that that's the case. But still, authorizing or allowing, right? I'm not saying they should have prevented guns from being there, but when someone says, hey, we're coming in and acting as a peacekeeping force and we're going to participate with you, that's when you say, yeah, no, that's not going to work.
So let's go back to liability for just a minute. Even if they knew that these peacekeepers were on hand, would the police department have some sort of liability?
Well, so I think that there is some responsibility to be borne. If it's just people who are there documenting, videographers, things like that, which have been in protest events for as long as I can remember, that's one thing. But if you have individuals that say we are going to carry guns and to use force in the event something happens, and you are aware of this beforehand and you say okay to that, I just don't see how you can't bear some responsibility. Now, again, I think we need to be clear. I don't know who hired them. I've been trying to figure that out and haven't been able to. But I do think this is a big question as to why.
We've been listening to the audio of people running in the crowd, and this whole situation has really reignited fears of big crowds. Are those fears founded? Should we be afraid to go out into big crowds like this?
Well, Maria, I think the more important question is why have we gotten to this situation? Because, no, we shouldn't be. This is America, right? But the political rhetoric that has given rise to hate speech and vitriol has created an environment in which we are more concerned about how does this shooting affect us politically, not the fact that someone died. This is a problem, and we need to ask our leaders at all levels, on all sides, how is this ever okay? How do we justify the loss of even one human being because of hatred? We need to change this dialogue, and that's why we've been seeing events like this become unsafe, in my opinion.
All right. So whether we like how we got here or not, how are we supposed to, as a public, react to these situations? How are we supposed to go about, like a peaceful demonstration? Those people thought that was very important for them to be there. How are we supposed to go about our everyday lives and do things that we think are important to us if it's in a big crowd?
Well, I think the key is to be aware. Right? We understand what's going on. We understand things that make us feel uncomfortable. When you hear something, see something, go the opposite direction. But At the point where we say, no, we're not going to participate, well, then the people who intend to do harm, right? This is true terrorism, is when people are afraid to go out and to voice their opinion and to participate in society for fear of violence. Right? We need to say no to that, and we need to ask questions, right? We need to be an informed public that says, who's at this event? Who's running this event? How's it being organized? What is the security being provided for this? Right? We need to be informed. I think that's the number one thing. Aware and informed, not paranoid.
What is your concern about people carrying guns? I mean, we all believe in Second Amendment rights. That's why we live in the United States. But what kinds of concerns does this bring up when somebody pulls out a gun and fires into a crowd like this?
Well, again, it goes back to this misperception that there's somehow safety because of a gun. Right? Officers encounter unsafe situations and always have guns. And again, the hit percentage, this idea that anyone can pick up a firearm and hit their intended target is not realistic, right? It's not realistic for well-trained, highly trained individuals, let alone members of the public. And oftentimes guns get used in violent ways against the owners of the gun because they present it and don't have right intent to look somebody in the eye and pull the trigger on somebody is tremendous and impacts people significantly.
And just for one, go ahead. Excuse me.
No. I mean, it's just something that we need to be aware of, and it doesn't provide safety.
I only have just a few seconds here, but the person who was carrying the AR-15, were they carrying that legally?
Wow. So that's some questions, but yes, in this state, I could strap my AR-15 over my shoulder and walk down the street without a problem.
Okay. I appreciate your help. Thanks so much for being with me.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Chris Burbank, former Salt Lake City Police Chief, joining me on the KSL Newsline. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A tragic shooting at Westfest taking the life of an 8-month-old infant. Groundbreaking for a new hospital in West Valley City. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Slowdowns right through the work zone, southbound I-15, Kaysville to Farmington. Maria?
Thank you, Ricky. KSL's top local stories coming up in 1 minute. But first, let's get the very latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Minnesota, suspected shooter Vance Bolter making his first appearance in court after his arrest. He's facing state and federal charges, including murder and attempted murder for the deaths of state lawmaker and her husband and wounding a state senator and his wife Saturday. Hennepin County District Attorney Mary Moriarty.
We are at early stages. We will be reviewing all of the evidence from law enforcement as it comes in and working with our law enforcement partners to develop the case. I do want people to know that given the scale of this investigation, the review of evidence will take time.
Federal prosecutors say Bolter allegedly stalked lawmakers and had a target list that crossed state lines. Israel says it has full control of Tehran's airspace and strikes today, shutting down Iran's state media. Iran also launching more missiles toward northern Israel. On Wall Street, stocks are on a rally after oil prices ended lower despite the escalation in the Middle East. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A man who was at the Salt Lake City No Kings protest saw police arrest the person they think may have been the cause behind the shooting. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis explains.
Ben Behanin had been sheltering in an alcove of a building with around 40 others at the corner of First South 2nd East. He had been standing at the corner when a rush of people came past, dropping their signs and looking terrified. While in the alcove, one of his friends recognized the man who had a rifle. They sprung into action, alerting police. Behanin caught a video showing the arrest. He says people panicked and scattered, many asking, "What do we do?" Behanin says he is grateful the police were able to act so quickly to take control of the situation, saying they were there within minutes. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
The suspect, 24-year-old Arturo Gamboa, was not the one who fired the shots, though. Police say an innocent bystander was shot when a peacekeeper fired at Gamboa. No word yet on what charges could be issued. Next time you dial 911 in Salt Lake City, AI could pick up the phone. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla explains.
The 911 Communications Bureau says it's looking at some AI-assisted solutions to help take care of the 650,000 calls that come in each year. Bureau Director Lisa Kehoe says only 30% of them are actual life or death emergencies. She says this system would help sort them and allow dispatchers to be available to take those calls. The council did have some concerns, but Kehoe says rolling out the system will be gradual and residents will be alerted when it happens.
Sandy residents will also likely be affected since Salt Lake City dispatchers take some of their calls. Other local stories KSL is following. If you are taking a trip outside of the Wasatch Front today, there is a good chance where you're going will be under a red flag warning. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
The warning, which will be in effect until late tonight, has been issued for most of central, southern, and eastern Utah due to high winds and low humidity. Parts of southern Utah are already under Stage 1 fire restrictions, so crews are urging people to be extra cautious with anything that could start a wildfire. Officials tell me we've been doing a great job at cutting down on human-caused wildfires over the last few years, but they still don't want people to let their guard down.
Fire officials also say we should still be careful here along the Wasatch Front. They say we had 3 fires start locally over the weekend from target shooting. Fire season is already off to a busy start in Utah. State fire officials say we had nearly 6 new wildfires start over the last week. More than half of those were caused by people. Hot, dry conditions the next few days will increase the risk of new fire starts and of spreading existing fires. Taking a look at your money at this moment, all the indices have been up today. The Dow is now up by 262 points, sitting at 42,460. S&P 500 up by 48. The NASDAQ up by 277 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky, what's going on?
We have a nice looking drive on I-15 in Salt Lake County, but not in Davis County, where those southbound slowdowns are in place once again as you go from the Kaysville Ponds down to Lagoon in Farmington. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Get set for a high today of 93, but that's nothing. Look at this forecast, 101 by Thursday. Right now, 88 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Tonight at 10, disappearing labor and delivery options.
Contractions hurt. That's not really safe to be driving yourself 2 hours.
Leaving mothers hours away from care.
She had her baby in the ambulance.
KSL uncovers the maternity care gap.
We've seen 4 birthing facilities closing in the last dozen years.
And plans to protect moms-to-be.
It's tough, and it's why we're working on it.
Labor and delivery, vanishing access. Tonight at 10 on KSL.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Another deadly shooting in the Salt Lake Valley this weekend, taking place at the Westfest in West Valley City last night. 3 people were killed, including an 8-month-old infant and a 41-year-old woman, both innocent bystanders. Also dead, an 18-year-old that police believe is connected to the shooting. A witness describing the scene to KSL5 TV's Alex Cabrero shortly after it all happened.
So I was just waiting in line for a ride, and then behind me, you just hear like 7 or 8 gunshots, and then everyone just starts running around. It was just crazy, and then I was just trying to find, like my girlfriend and my kid, and it was like, so then I just like stayed back looking around because I couldn't find him because she had gone somewhere else. And then I run around, I keep running. I couldn't see. Since it was behind me, the shooting was behind me. I didn't know who it was well, after I kept running around looking for my family, I just see like four people on the ground, like a 1-year-old, like a little baby, and 3 other people on the ground, like injured, and it was just horrible. It was like just seeing all that stuff, and
especially if you didn't know where your kid was, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it was like I literally gave my stuff to my girlfriend to put it in her purse, and my kid was gonna go with my girlfriend's sister on a ride with her kids. And it was like, at that moment that I gave my stuff to her, I had my phone, my wallet, my keys, I had everything. So then I was running around without like no contact or anything, and it was like, then I just stayed back because then I was like, if they hit at that ride, I'm gonna stay back because I gotta, I don't know if they're hiding in the rides or if they actually ran off like with everyone else, because everyone just, the first few gunshots, people were like, oh, the fireworks already starting, and then once you hear like the other 3 or 4 more, then it was like everyone just starts running. The people just start yelling, gun, and people just start running, and shooting and everything. But
Roxanne Vainuku, Deputy Communications Director for West Valley City, explaining the situation.
At about 9:20 p.m., officers who were working at Westfest spotted 2 groups of people who seemed to be having some sort of a verbal altercation. The officers approached these 2 groups in order to kind of break this up and calm things down. And as they approached, they witnessed a male from one of the groups pull out a gun and start firing it toward the other group. One of the officers did return fire toward the suspect, did not hit the suspect, but they were able to very quickly take the suspect into custody. We do have a total of 5 people who were struck by gunshots. We have an 18-year-old male who is deceased at the scene. We have a 41-year-old female bystander who was hit by gunshots and was taken to the hospital and passed away. We have an 8-month-old infant who was also hit by gunfire and was taken to the hospital and passed away. The 41-year-old woman and the 8-month-old infant were not connected in any way to either of the 2 groups of that original skirmish that started. 2 additional teenagers were shot, both of them shot in their arms. It's unclear at this point if they were connected to that original altercation. One of them is a 17-year-old female. The other is a 15-year-old male, and again, they both suffered gunshot wounds to their arms. The only other injury in this incident was a pregnant woman who was hurt trying to climb a fence when the incident broke out. The suspect, as I mentioned, was immediately taken into custody. He is a 16-year-old male. He has been taken to the police station where he will be questioned by detectives.
KSL legal analyst and the host of the new Inside Sources, Greg Skorda, says it's possible the 16-year-old suspect in this shooting could be tried as an adult.
Immediately, they will withhold his identity. When we talk about the shooting that occurred in perhaps Minnesota, they've identified that individual. He's in court today. They're talking about that. But this is a 16-year-old, and so they're treated a lot differently under Utah law, but not as differently as they would have been, say, 20, 30 years ago. I was involved in the gang project back in the day, back in the 90s, and we helped enact legislation that at the time was known as the Serious Youth Offender Act that allowed the prosecutors to bring these younger groups, younger individuals into the adult system easier than they could have otherwise. So if the Salt Lake District Attorney's Office chooses to, and they almost certainly will, they can charge him and have him go into the adult system. And without getting into too much of the legalese of it, the charges would begin in juvenile court. He would be charged with, allegedly, 3 homicides, which would be an aggravated murder. And the juvenile court judge would decide whether or not he should be brought into the adult system. But a triple homicide, you would expect, would. Now, having said that, if an adult committed a triple homicide in Utah, that would be an aggravated murder and would be eligible for the death penalty.
Wow.
We cannot execute 16, 17-year-olds or anyone under the age of 18 under our law. So he would absolutely not be eligible for the death penalty, but he could be eligible for a multiple homicide charge and theoretically be facing the rest of his life in the Utah State Penitentiary.
Between the shooting in Salt Lake City on Saturday and the shooting in West Valley City last night, it's been a difficult weekend for many. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson tells Inside Sources that the 2 shootings here and the deadly shooting of a state lawmaker in Minnesota showed that violence in our country is at a crucial point.
These 3 incidents are each unique, but they all speak to challenges in our nation. And I think in the situation of the speaker in Minnesota, we've seen political violence against individuals in the past. I think of Gabby Giffords. And, I think what's so sad to me is I didn't know her, but I know what she does day to day, know how hard people on both sides of the aisle work on behalf of their constituents, and it's just heartbreaking. And then I think about what happened on Saturday, downtown Salt Lake, a peaceful protest, no incidents, no concerns.
We are expecting to get more information shortly on the shooting in West Valley City. We will bring you any updates on that and the shooting in Salt Lake City as soon as we get it right here on air and online at kslnewsradio.com. Stay with us. More on Midday in just 60 seconds.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
The University of Utah has broken ground in West Valley City for its first off-campus hospital. The 130-bed hospital being built with the help of the Spencer Eccles Foundation. Eccles on hand for the event.
I got a ruptured disc and I got a hitch in my kitty up. And other than that, I'm 90, but it's sure a pleasure to look at all you young people out there. This is truly a red letter day for West Valley and the University of Utah and Utah Health, and of course, the Eccles family. If you will, I'm going to paraphrase Mother Teresa. Alone, we cannot change the world, but we can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And it's my sincere hope that this stone, this partnership with the University of Utah, West Valley City, and this new Eccles Hospital will create many ripples of opportunity, ripples of hope, and ripples of better health and healing for the people of West Valley and throughout the state. So without doubt, folks, as I always like to say before I finish, the best is still yet to come.
The foundation donating $75 million for the hospital. Lisa Eccles says their family is all in because they believe the facility will be a game changer.
This will truly be another crown jewel for this community and our state. It is our hope that this hospital will be a place of healing, of clinical research, and world-class health care. A place where education and economic dreams come true, and a place where you doctors and nurses, as Hippocrates said, cure sometimes, treat often, and comfort always.
1 out of every 10 inpatient beds in the area is on the west side of I-15. University of Utah President Taylor Randall says the state-of-the-art facility will provide much-needed services to a community with healthcare disparities.
What we are trying to create is a brand new type of university, a university that creates societal impact for every member of this state. And with this hospital and the new educational programs, we think we can touch the lives of every community member.
The hospital's doors are scheduled to open in 2028. A massive soapbox derby on Utah's Capitol Hill with thousands coming out for the first ever Red Bull Soapbox Derby. That story in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
It's still pretty quiet out on the Valley freeways, except for the patch of slowing on southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Farmington. And right now, no accidents reported on the freeways or main secondaries. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It often takes some sort of health issue to cause us to really get on the move and lose the weight that we've put on. For me, it was just the fact that I couldn't even work out in my yard for a couple of hours without having back spasms. I want to tell you what's worked for me, and it's called Salt Lake City Fat Loss, and it's an all-natural program, and that means there's no medication or injections or surgeries. It's just a simple combination of foods to burn off your stored fat. It really took the frustration for me out of losing weight. I didn't have to work out for an hour a day. Just eat these simple combination of foods, and they give you so many great resources to help you out. Their app keeps you accountable. It gives you daily inspiration and a lot of great recipes as well. Save $200 now. Find out more at saltlakecityfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Or you can call them at 801-450-1882. Wouldn't it be great to lose up to a pound per day? Go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Join KSL News Radio's Amanda Dixon this Friday, 3 to 5 at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road, npsstore.com.
Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801-543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
Market volatility isn't slowing down.
If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Attention RVers! In 57 years, Motorsportsland has never had a sale like this before. We've got over 100 new models coming in and our lots are already almost full. We've got to clear out inventory fast, so we've selected over 100 new travel trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers to sell to you at or below dealer cost. Like our 2024 Encore Venue off-road travel trailer, MSRP at $30,000, normally priced at $25,000, dealer cost at $22,400, and this week only priced to you for below $17,000 with amazing financing options. Or our 2024 28-foot Stealth Toy Hauler fifth wheel, MSRP at $99,330, normally priced at $83,500, this week only $67,743. Save more than ever before on your dream RV. But these deals are disappearing quick, so visit a Motorsportsland RV Center today.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Some 50,000 people braved the heat to flood Main Street near Utah's Capitol Hill on Saturday for the first Red Bull soapbox race. Dozens of thrill seekers barreled down the street in homemade go-karts, including Allison Tardif and her friends. They built a replica of the 9th and 9th whale.
We kind of saw the opportunity and went, what if? Why not? What a cool thing to say we've done, and what an amazing team to work with. These are my closest friends in the world, and I'm so glad that we got to do this together, and we're going to talk about it forever. Was it dumb? Yeah, it was. Am I psyched? Yeah, I am. It's great. We're always down to do dumb stuff. This is not our first time doing something weird and out of the box. We met working at a haunted house together, weird and out of the box. And even further, we learned how to do haunted house stunt acting together. So this is not our first rodeo as like a team doing a dumb thing. It's not a dumb thing. It's an exciting thing. My dad and I used to watch the Red Bull soapboxes on TV, and we would always be like, what would you do if you were in the race? And the day my partner actually figured out that there were applications open, he was like, we should apply. I texted my dad and I said, what should we do? And he said, bring the whale. And it was like perfect because we all live right now 5 minutes from the whale. We see the whale every day. And we were like, what better thing than to like bring the signal of our neighborhood to the race, be ourselves unapologetically. There's nothing better than the whale. I love the whale. She is the signal of the beautiful and vibrant community that Salt Lake has to offer, especially 9th and 9th. It really does crop up out of the blue with unapologetic passion, and I really love that about my neighborhood.
And Tardif told KSL TV's Alex Cabrero the whale was the perfect symbol of their effort.
You know, as much as it's like an escape thing, it's also a really important, the whale stands for a lot of really important tenets. The statue itself is called Out of the Blue, and it stands for community, resiliency, and harmony. And we talked a lot about what those things meant for us. Community is representing your community unabashedly, whether you are queer, a person of color, but being yourself and not being afraid to show that to the world. Harmony within nature. Here in Salt Lake, obviously, conservation is huge, environmentalism is huge, and that's something we're all really passionate about. And then, what's the last one? Community, harmony, resiliency is being able to bounce back from the scary things in the world. There's a lot going on, but when we bond together as a community, we can be resilient and be a beautiful, thriving community. We are so joyful to bring those important tenets that we have and show them with the thriving passion that we bring to everything we love. And this was a labor of love, let me tell you. And every ounce of late nights and early mornings that we spent working on the whale is worth it because we get to represent our communities as bright and shining as possible.
But she says they didn't really think about how they were going to load into the cart.
He has to back in. We didn't take the loading into account when we actually built her, so we had to finagle it a little bit. And so he'll be up front. This whole frame is not prefabricated at all. Our fabricator, Nick, spent hours and hours of YouTube videos, watching soapboxes, watching how to build an automotive machine video, hours and hours. We'd wake up to texts from him from like 2 in the morning, like, we're gonna do this and this and this. And we bought steel and we welded it ourselves. None of this is prefabbed. We made every single part of it. And we used as many recycled things as we could, so her walls are made out of yoga mats, and this is ping pong balls, and yeah, we used as much eco-friendly as we could.
Tardif says for her team, it wasn't about winning the race, it was just about getting down the street in one piece.
This has been a blast. This has been a really, really special time. I'm gonna think about it forever and ever and ever and ever. And I'm gonna like put it on a resume. It's like it's the coolest thing I've ever done. It's been amazing.
My son and his wife went, and they just said it was super fun to watch the crowd and to watch the go-karts. Well, taking a look at some sports-related news now, BYU's top-rated basketball recruit, A.J. DeBonsa, hasn't lived in Provo that long, but he's already holding charity events to give back. KSL Sports caught up with DeBonsa as he visited the Boys and Girls Club in Provo, and he brought a bunch of new shoes with him.
But he's already calling Provo his community now that he lives there. And with that, he's getting involved, serving those he lives around.
Are you excited?
How cool is that? Of course those kids are excited. The projected #1 draft pick in next year's NBA draft, BYU's A.J. DeBonsa, paid a visit to the Boys and Girls Club in Provo on Friday, along with a few of his BYU teammates and friends. During the visit, DeBonsa donated some new Nike shoes and socks to the kids that were in attendance.
I mean, it's my new community. That's why I did it. I live in Provo. I go to BYU, so I have to interact with the guys over here, little kids, and I just love giving back, so this is one of the things.
AJ's a great guy, and so it's fun to see him interact with these kids, and it's cool to be a part of it. I just think, imagine me as a kid, I would have loved something like this, so it's cool to see the excitement on these kids' face. You know, it's not every day you kind of get new shoes.
Oh, yeah. Can you sign my shoes?
That's rewarding. It's surreal. I just love seeing the kids' reaction. I love making people's day, and this is one of like the best feelings.
Now, way to win them all over as well. That is KSL Sports anchor Jeremiah Jensen reporting. The Yellowstone TV universe is returning to Utah. The Utah Film Commission announced new state incentives for 4 new productions. One of them is a spin-off of the popular series Yellowstone called Why Marshals. The Yellowstone series got its start in Utah, filming the first 3 seasons at the Utah Film Studios in Park City before the production moved to Montana. Stay with us. In the next hour of Midday, we'll take a closer look at the investigation into the shooting of 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Following 2 deadly shootings along the Wasatch Front this weekend, what about those who witnessed it all?
I think definitely I'm having a lot of survivor's guilt because we were just all there doing the exact same thing. And it could have been anyone.
The time is 2 o'clock on Monday, June 16th. It's Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll discuss the effects on mental health for those who saw these horrific events. Also this hour,
it is a perfect recipe for fires to thrive if they do start.
Red flag warnings as temperatures rise, humidity falls, and the winds pick up. But first, our top stories. The 16-year-old suspect in the Westfest shooting Sunday night will likely end up facing adult charges. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson explains.
Inside Sources host and KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says he's almost certain the district attorney will want to try this case in adult court because it's a triple homicide. But that will be up to a juvenile court judge to move the case up to the adult system. But under Utah law, the suspect would not be eligible for the death penalty because he's not yet 18.
Skorda says because 3 people died, the top penalty would likely be life in prison. Our top national story from ABC News. We are learning more details about the man accused of shooting 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses over the weekend, killing one of those couples.
We're now learning that the suspect allegedly visited 4 lawmakers, the homes of 4 lawmakers here in Minnesota, instead of the 2 that we've been reporting since the weekend. In fact, the first lawmaker's home that he allegedly visited was that state senator who is now still in the hospital, along with his wife in critical condition, or actually were critically wounded in that shooting.
Vance Bolter is in custody and is facing federal and state charges. A judge has extended the block on the Trump administration's plan to ban Harvard from accepting international students. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has the latest on the hearing this morning in Boston.
The hearing saw a lawyer for the Trump administration arguing that Harvard can't be trusted, that the school isn't properly monitoring its students or sufficiently cracking down on anti-Semitism. Harvard's lawyer said the vetting of visa holders is the government's responsibility, and he argued the university is being retaliated against for not bending to the administration's far-reaching demands. Judge Allison Burroughs has extended her temporary restraining order, which had been set to expire this coming Thursday, until next Monday, while she considers whether to impose a longer-lasting injunction.
Again, that order temporarily blocking the administration's plan was previously set to expire on Thursday. Other national stories, KSL is following. Heavy rain and flooding in Appalachia on Sunday killed at least 5 people in West Virginia, including a 3-year-old child. The governor says several more people are still missing. Your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up by 317 points, up 0.75%, sitting at 42,515. S&P up by 56 points, and the NASDAQ up by 294 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Salt Lake County freeways all clear, as well as our downtown city streets. No problems there. But we still have a slow drive on southbound I-15 between the Kaysville Ponds and Park Lane in Farmington due to road work. Jordan Valley Water says we're using about 12% more water than last year, even though we don't need to. Let's fix that. Water 1 day less each week. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
No chance of rain in the forecast for the next 7 days. Today's high 93 up to 101 degrees by Thursday. 88 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Home sellers, do not lose money selling your home the old way. Make more money when you sell your home with a Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at Realty Path. Average interest rates are in the mid to high 6s, but Save Right Realtors will market your home with a fixed rate as low as 4.75%. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate gives buyers monthly payments that are hundreds less than comparable homes. When your home is much more affordable, you get a larger pool of potential buyers who can buy your home. When buyers compare homes and see your home is hundreds less per month, you'll get a quicker offer and a higher sale price. Do not lose money selling your home the old way. Sell faster and make more money. Sell with Save Right. Sell with the Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are continuing our discussion and coverage of two deadly shootings over the weekend. One bystander killed at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City, and another 3 killed at Westfest in West Valley City. Our own board operator who runs the technical aspects of our show witnessed the shooting at the Salt Lake protest. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp sat down with Corey Miller to ask her about her initial reaction to the shooting.
At first, we thought it was fireworks. A lot of people thought it was fireworks, and we were all looking up. And then we looked over and saw the peacekeepers shooting, which we didn't know they were peacekeepers at first. We all thought that they were police. So we all thought that the police were shooting at a protester. I think it was just too chaotic to even know how to feel at that moment. All you want to do is just hide and then make sure your friends or loved ones are safe and then go just as far away from the situation as you can. So it was really just fight or flight, and I was in flight for sure.
In the 2 days since the shooting, Corey says she hasn't been able to get it off her mind.
I just cannot stop playing the whole situation over in my head and wondering what exactly happened, why did it happen, why him and not anyone else, how him and not anyone else, what would have happened if no one had stopped Gamboa, and that it could have been a lot worse, and I could have been one of the people who was shot.
Corey says that right now she's still trying to process it all, but she does feel a kind of survivor's guilt about the whole thing.
I think definitely I'm having a lot of survivor's guilt because we were just all there doing the exact same thing, and it could have been anyone.
In this segment of Midday, we wanted to dig into the psychological aspects of this. For those who witness these terrible shootings, they probably have a lot of thoughts that are still running through their head, and they could have a kind of PTSD too. To help us walk through this kind of thing, we are joined by Dr. Stephen Sugden, Associate Training Director at the University of Utah Huntsman Mental Health Institute. Dr. Sugden, thank you so much for being with us. I mean, are we using the term PTSD correctly in this case?
Not really, but I'll try to explain if I may, please.
Sure.
I think it's so your Miss Corey was mentioning that when one becomes in an unnatural setting, it's easy to have that fight or flight response, and it's so oftentimes that those symptoms of fight or flight may stay with somebody for a couple of weeks. And as a result, as she mentioned, it's not uncommon to be replaying the events, to be thinking about the what ifs, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, to have difficulty sleeping. If these symptoms tend to last more than 1 month, that's when we start saying that they meet the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. Otherwise, we call it that they just had an acute stress reaction.
Okay. So talk to us for a minute about survivor's guilt. How do people, I mean, does that happen to a lot of people, and how did they work through that?
You know, amongst also my responsibilities at the University of Utah, I'm also in the United States Army Reserves, and I've talked with many of soldiers who've kind of experienced that. And many times it's because, you know, in the military, there's the survivor's guilt because they know people and they are sad or upset that somebody had dreams who won't be able to live, whereas somebody, you know, they survived all that, and why were they luckily chosen out? Survivor's guilt, within a mass shooting like this, I think that there's a lot of this as well. And I think it just adds to that confusion of when you are in that hyper, arousal, fight or flight response, your brain just isn't making sense. And it's easy to get lost in, well, it should have been me too, when, the odds are in that type of a situation, it probably, wasn't going to be the whole crowd that was going to be impacted due to the nature of that conflict.
Mm-hmm. So what is your advice for those who may be struggling mentally right now?
I mean, I think there's twofold. So to the people who are thinking a lot about the survivor's guilt, I think a big thing that people can do is really work on a practice of gratitude, just being grateful for opportunities that, still future opportunities that they have. President Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address often talked about the memory of the people who died, that we have the right to, the challenge to live for them. With regards to people who are still having those hyperarousal type of symptoms, the studies show it's really just trying to help get back into your regular routine the best you can. So really work on getting your sleep hygiene, really work on getting exercise, really working on your diet, really trying to get back into that normal routine, because it's that normal routine, it kind of kicks in and helps one kind of recenter or rebalance from those hyperarousal symptoms. And should the symptoms continue to persist over a month, that's really when the recommendation is to seek professional help.
Right. This has to be extremely scary for those folks who went through it. I mean, we've heard the audio of the people screaming, telling people to run.
Yeah.
What are people still going to be afraid when they're in crowds, or be afraid to go out into crowds? And what would you suggest?
I mean, they very well may be, and that's just one of the effects of the trauma is that many times people then want to avoid incidences because it gives them memories of those types of events. So, just to normalize the reaction that what they're experiencing isn't abnormal, that it's a very common experience for everybody who has gone through that. If they need to go, if they choose to go back out in public, maybe they go with a buddy. Maybe they do it for short exposures. Maybe they limit to, it not this time, but the next time, and just try to ease back into things.
As supporters, is there something that we can do to help those who have gone through this?
I think a lot of it is just giving, some people need space. Some people want to talk. And it's just talking to the people to see what they want, because there isn't one thing that works for everybody. And it's really just trying to take that personal touch and talk with the person and see what their needs are, and then support them accordingly.
Doctor, we appreciate your help. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
That is Dr. Sugden at the University of Utah Huntsman Mental Health Institute. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Midday in just 60 seconds.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
One of the interesting and more complicated aspects of the deadly shooting in Salt Lake this weekend is who fired the shots, who was killed, and who's being looked at for murder charges. All three separate people. It poses legal questions that are sure to be discussed as charges are brought forward in the case as it moves through the courts. KSL legal analyst and host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas, tries to break down some of the more complicated legal parts.
So the question comes up, and this is an interesting legal question that I think is going to be wrestled with by the District Attorney's Office and Salt Lake City PDs for some time, which is to say, who is ultimately responsible for that man's death? Because an innocent man was killed. Let's just start right there.
Right.
An innocent man who did nothing wrong is killed. So, was he killed by Gamboa? Not at all. Gamboa didn't shoot anything. But Gamboa's in jail, and he's booked in for murder charges. And they're
Right.
under the theory that he created a great risk of death that ultimately caused death. The whole legal theory that he created this.
It was his actions that resulted
Right,
in someone else's
right.
death.
I don't know that I buy that necessarily, that he's ultimately responsible for this death. On the other hand, he's in custody for murder charges. I don't know how those are going to stay under this depraved indifference theory that they have. But a peacekeeper sees this, and so the second question is, what defines murder? The second question is, what defines self-defense? And self-defense, Holly, includes defense of others. So if you see someone approaching you with a gun, and you can take
Right.
measures to protect yourself, including using deadly force. That also applies to a third person. If you see someone who's about
Approaching
to be
someone else.
right, you can take reasonable measures to prevent that harm. But is it reasonable? And again, other people will decide this, not Greg Skordas. Is it reasonable when you're exercising that level of force when an innocent person is shot? I mean, don't you have some obligation, legal or otherwise, to protect the people behind you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if your goal is to save life and you cause life, I don't think it's that easy to say Gamboa's responsible.
Inside Sources co-host Holly Richardson asking Greg about the next steps in the legal case.
Where do you see this going?
No, that's a great question. So there's sort of three levels. One is right now the peacekeeper's not in custody. The person who caused the death,
Right.
let's just say it, is not in custody. Gamboa's in custody, and he's in custody on what's called probable cause. In other words, a police officer, not a prosecutor, not a
Okay.
judge,
Okay.
not a lawyer,
Okay.
said, we think he committed this crime. And it's something that we file in Salt Lake, and I suppose most states do the same thing, in order for police officers to take someone into custody. Because you're not going to get a district attorney on a Sunday morning to file charges.
Okay.
You're probably not on Monday morning or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday either. But you're holding the person in jail, and a judge is going to say, why is this person here? So a police officer, and I trained the police officers on this very thing, filled out a probable cause statement saying, I think this man committed murder under a depraved indifference standard, and he should sit in jail. Now, that means nothing to the district attorney's office. And you said, what will a judge decide? But the next step before it gets to the judge is the DA's.
Okay.
And so the DA's office here in Salt Lake is gathering as much information as possible, and they're going to decide in their minds, not mine, whether Gamboa is accused of a crime or whether the peacekeeper is, or maybe both of them.
Okay.
But under the Gamboa standard, was he really acting in such a depraved indifference to human life that he caused the death of another person? I think that's a stretch.
We are continuing to track official charges against Arturo Gamboa or the peacekeepers, and we will bring you those updates as we get them. After the break, we'll go to Minnesota for the latest on the assassination and attempted assassination of two state lawmakers there. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We do have a report of an accident, 20th South and 9th West, and a little bit of busy traffic southbound I-15 near the South Interchange. That might be due in part due to a disabled vehicle over to the right shoulder. A tow truck is there at the scene, but traffic slow and cautious getting around it. Advanced Window Products, factory direct affordable windows. Call today, they're on their way. Financing available. Save now, pay later. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801-543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for Allure.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Political violence appears to be on the rise in the U.S., prompting concerns from many lawmakers and high-ranking officials. A case over the weekend in Minnesota resulting in the death of a state lawmaker and her husband and the injury of another state lawmaker and his wife. The suspect in court today for his initial appearance. ABC's Brad Mielke discusses developments in this case in the Start Here podcast.
This weekend, we saw political violence in this country take a new step when a man showed up on the doorsteps of 2 Minnesota state lawmakers and started firing.
This was an act of targeted political violence.
Some of these victims made it out alive, others didn't, and the governor is calling this an assassination.
Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.
Let's start the day with ABC News chief investigative reporter Josh Margolin. Josh, what do we know so far? How do police describe the timeline here?
Middle of the night, Friday night into Saturday, police showed up at the home of a state senator, John Hoffman, and his wife, responding to gunfire, reports of gunfire. They get there and they realize that the senator and his wife have been shot, it turns out, multiple times.
At the residence in Champlin, there was life-saving measures that were provided there. Both individuals were transported, as was previously noted, and they both received surgeries for their injuries.
Quick-thinking cops realize, hey, we actually have, just a few miles away, Speaker Hortman's house, former Speaker of the State House.
In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, a representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by.
And they get there, and it turns out that the cops arriving see what looks like a police car with emergency lights flashing, the flashing lights above the car.
and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
The assailant shoots at the cops and then takes off and is gone.
Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service.
So it turns out that Speaker Hortman and her husband are in fact dead.
My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times.
Senator Hoffman did not die, and there was no delay, Brad, in coming to the determination that this was an act of political violence, as you say.
Right, and let me just mention a little bit more about these lawmakers. They both had children. They both had families. They were both Democrats. Melissa Hortman, like you said, had been a big-time political figure in the state for over 20 years in office. She had championed gun control policies and police reform. At one point, she was the House Speaker, like you said. State Senator John Hoffman, who's on the Health and Human Services Committee, somehow survived 9 gunshot wounds. That's according to his wife in a text to Senator Amy Klobuchar last night. His wife, Yvette, herself was hit 8 times. Knowing all this, Josh, and just sort of the common ties here, what do we know about the suspect and his alleged motivations here?
The alleged assailant, the suspect, as later identified by police, this guy named Vance Bolter. It turns out, as we learned throughout the course of Saturday, that in addition to having what looked like a police car with emergency flashing lights, he also was dressed like a cop.
They were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Last night, the suspect in the case was caught following a 2-day manhunt across the state. What was the motive? Do we know? ABC's Josh Margolin on the Start Here podcast again.
There's some suggestion from the writings in the vehicle that he might have been motivated by politicians who are in favor of abortion rights or the pro-abortion rights movement.
Had he been involved in politics before at all?
He was involved in government. He was actually appointed and then reappointed to a state board. Ironically enough, with Senator Hoffman, they served on the board. Now, they officially confirmed that their paths would have crossed. They didn't know if they actually knew each other actively or if they might have just crossed paths at meetings or something. It's hard to really know these things. They weren't social friends to anyone's knowledge at this point.
Well, and so then, Josh, late last night, authorities announced they'd found him. They'd arrested him. How?
Well, Brad, it was really remarkable. Last night, after it seemed that things had settled in, it was going to be another night of a manhunt. Police had said there would not be any more public comments, any more press conferences. We get word that there is going to be a press conference and that he has been apprehended.
Good evening. After a 2-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter.
And we find out that it was the search area in rural Sibley County, about an hour south of where the shootings had occurred, near a farm in Green Isle that he was connected to. And we earlier had heard that they had found a vehicle and a hat connected to him.
This is in a rural area. These are fields and different wooded settings around, and that's where he was ultimately captured.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers around the country are now calling for additional security as a result of this deadly shooting. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Red flag warnings across the state today, increasing the danger of wildfires. A major arts festival kicking off this week, and KSL traffic. Ricky?
Slowdowns once again in Davis County, southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Farmington. Maria?
Thank you, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. At the G7 summit in Canada, President Trump says he remains confident a peace deal can be reached between Israel and Iran despite escalating airstrikes. But Israel's prime minister not as confident. In an ABC News exclusive, Jonathan Karl spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu, accusing Iran of holding fake talks.
They're working secretly to rapidly weaponize this. In a few months, they would have nuclear bombs. That's what they want to do. They want to continue stringing the U.S. along, build up those weapons. They don't want a seat at the table. They want to blow up the table. Specifically, they want to blow up Israel.
The Pentagon now moving more Navy resources to the Middle East, and the State Department has issued a no-travel warning for all of Israel. In Minnesota, Vance Belter is facing state and federal charges for the shooting deaths of a state lawmaker and her husband, along with injuring another state lawmaker and his wife. Authorities say the shooter had a long target list of lawmakers. And on Wall Street today, stocks sending up. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story, tense moments at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City when one man says he spotted a rifle in someone's bag and decided to act. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera with the story.
Sam Hernandez says chaos was already unfolding. People were running for cover after gunshots rang out. In the middle of it all, he noticed something alarming. A man nearby with what looked like a rifle in his backpack. He told Inside Sources his instincts kicked in.
I didn't really think about it. I just went over there and I said, "Hey, what was that gun in your bag, man?" And he's like, he just looks at me and I grab the bag. I just grab it. He goes for it and I just grab it. And I hold it up.
Police moved in quickly to arrest the man. Hernandez says he's just glad he and his wife left their 3 kids at home, worried something like this could happen. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Utah Shooting Sports Council Chairman Clark Aposhian has questions about the shootings.
When I hear about bullets being fired, my first case is, especially in an environment like that, where did they go?
Poshin says it's yet to be determined if the peacekeeper accused of shooting an innocent bystander at the rally was licensed to carry a gun and if he was acting in self-defense or the defense of others. Utah expects to receive $57 million following a settlement involving the maker of OxyContin. Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family were being accused of aggressively marketing opioid medications as safe.
You know, if just one of them would have said, "Hey, we need to look at this again. This doesn't look like it's a good thing for patients," we'd be in a different place.
Margaret Woolley-Bussey, who directs the Utah Department of Commerce, applauds the settlement. The money from this settlement will be added to $540 million from an earlier settlement and used to help the state and counties in their efforts to deal with opioid problems. Other local stories KSL is following. Salt Lake City Pride is announcing the details of its second annual festival at the Gateway. It will take place June 28th and 29th. The theme will be The Outlaws, which they say celebrates those who have historically lived outside society's boundaries. Last year's celebration had more than 10,000 people. Organizers anticipate even more people this year because they are making it free for everyone. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 317 points at the close, up 0.75%, sitting at 42,515. S&P up by 56. The NASDAQ up by 294 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Salt Lake County freeways, no accidents reported, but traffic already building northbound I-15, going from Draper into Sandy, and our typical slowdown southbound I-15 in Davis County near Burton Lane between Kaysville and Farmington. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
No worries about rain in the forecast for the next 7 days. Today's high 93 up to 101 by Thursday. 89 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Wappett, Executive Director of the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice, or the IDRPP, at Utah State University. Did you know that 1 in 4 Utahns have a disability? Think about that. Your neighbor, your colleagues, your family. At some point, disability affects everyone. The USU IDRPP is on the front lines, driving change right here in Utah and across the nation for people with disabilities. For over 50 years, IDRPP has been Utah's University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, generating vital research that shapes effective policies and delivers real-world solutions. From groundbreaking research to evidence-based training, the IDRPP empowers individuals with disabilities, their families, and the professionals who support them. We're making our communities more accessible and welcoming for everyone. Find out more at idrpp.usu.edu.
Are you living with dry AMD?
If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Wildland firefighters are on high alert for heightened fire danger across the state. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says high heat, dry conditions, and now wind are increasing the risk of fires.
Watching a red flag warning that's in place now through midnight tonight, and that's for wind down in central and southern Utah. Peak wind gusts will occur in the afternoon. We could be talking about gusts over 25, maybe even 35 miles an hour at times. It's basically from about Nephi south to St. George, where we're concerned with humidity levels that could drop as low as 5%. Yeah, not a lot of water in the atmosphere today. With a bit of a breeze and warm temperatures, it is a perfect recipe for fires to thrive if they do start. We are not calling for fire starts today. However, atmospheric conditions will be prime for fires to spread if they do start. Heads up, please be careful today in central and southern Utah.
State fire officials say they have crews standing by. BLM fire management specialist Nick Howell says local, regional, and national teams are prepared.
There's a lot going on right now in terms of fire readiness and preparedness. All of our seasonal employees have been onboarded, and they're engaging in their fire season training. We have a lot of interagency training taking place as well. And then we've got the air tanker base, which we're down here today in Cedar City at the Color Country Interagency Air Tanker Base. And we actually have 2 fires in Nevada that this base is supporting today. Right now we do have a couple of areas that we're watching. We do have fire restrictions currently in Washington, Kane, and Garfield counties on state and BLM managed public lands. So things are drying out really quickly. We are seeing some fire activity, and we expect that to increase throughout the summer months.
Courtney Christensen is a BLM aviation manager, and he says they are prepared to fight fires both locally and regionally.
Here at the Air Base in Cedar City, we support fire. We have aerial assets to support local fires. We support the areas from southern and central Utah, eastern, southern Nevada, and northern Arizona. As far as resources, we have fixed-wing aircraft, which include SEATs, which stands for single-engine air tankers, LATs, which are large air tankers, and we also have aerial supervision resources. We have all the helicopters that might be used for federal wildland fires. We could support them all here. We're capable to having the tanker base here. It's a huge asset for the community, and we can rapidly deploy a bunch of aviation resources. Anything that's needed aviation-wise on these fires, we can support it here out of the tanker base.
And he says air support makes a huge difference.
Yep, so the air support is a huge asset. Nowadays, we rely on it heavily on most fires. It's a critical need, and it keeps the guys, the crews on the ground when they can't get into places. It's a huge asset to have here, and we can get them out quick usually, and yeah.
Fire manager for Utah Parks, Lindsay Fonger, says pilots and support staff from all over the U.S. are stationed near Cedar City's air tanker base for 90 days at a time to support firefighting efforts.
We work under a 3-tier dispatch system. So we have our National Interagency Coordination Center based in Boise. And then underneath there's geographical area coordination centers. And then our 3rd tiers are local dispatches like Color Country here in Cedar City or Northern Utah up in Salt Lake. When we need resources from, like, if we need an aircraft, we place an order, and it gets prioritized through the geographic and national levels depending upon where we're at on our preparedness levels. And we have a preparedness level of 1 being the lowest, all the way up to 5 being the highest level of activity across the nation. At each area level, we have groups that help manage those priorities. So we may have a fire here in Cedar, but the priority might be shifted into somewhere else because of either it's a brand new start that's threatening homes, communities, power lines, infrastructure, or major watersheds. All that gets kind of prioritized at those higher levels so we can send a resource to the right location where it's needed the most at that time.
And he explains how those resources are prioritized.
So our priority is always initial attack. Initial attack will always be, initial attack is a new fire, new and emerging fire. So that's always a priority. We want to catch them when they're small and starting. After that, it's all dependent upon so many different levels of where the fire's at, location, potential of success, like what is needed. Are we going to be successful there? Maybe it's better to send it to a different fire where those resources are more successful, or the potential for that success is higher.
But BLM Fire Management Specialist Nick Howell says all of us can take steps to prevent fires from starting in the first place.
Really, now is the time to heighten our awareness. Where human-caused fires are really common, especially here in southwest Utah, there's a lot of things you can do, especially in preparation with your travel routes and with your vehicles. We have a lot of vehicle-related human-caused fires each and every year. In regards to local community fire councils, we have a lot of communities at risk for wildfire here in southwest Utah. Now is definitely the time to engage in your local community fire councils and start working on your defensible space measures. Get your spring cleaning done in your yard, and if you're in those vegetated areas, there's no better time than now.
Again, a red flag fire warning is in effect for parts of central and southern Utah today. As we get really into the wildfire season, make sure you're following KSL News Radio to keep up to date. The latest on wildfires here on air, on all of our social media channels, and at kslnewsradio.com. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Whether you're building your $1 million dream home, giving your current home a facelift, or just trying to get it out of the minor leagues, Peach Windows and Doors brings the big league look.
Modern style, energy efficiency, clean lines, tough builds, and curb appeal that hits like a home run. Not sure what you need? No sweat. Peach has the coaching staff to get your home in the game. No pressure, no gimmicks, just solid game plans and pro-level results to help you knock it out of the park.
Come see for yourself big, beautiful windows that bring the outside in. Visit Peach Windows and Doors showroom, big enough to spark ideas, small enough to feel right at home. It's time to step up your game and make your house the MVP of the neighborhood. Why live in the minor leagues when you can swing like $1 million? Peach Windows and Doors, because real homes play like champions. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 for your free consultation.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
The Utah Arts Festival gets underway this Thursday in downtown Salt Lake City. Festival Director Amy Dunsmore joining me this morning to talk about the highlights.
We have all kinds of programming. We'll have more than 100 performances. We've got about 180 artist booths. We've got urban artists in an area painting live, the Kids Art Yard, literary, dance, music, all kinds of things. Lots of workshops through our literary program, things for kids, artists demonstrating on site, all kinds of things you could think of. So every kind of art.
Talk to me about the popularity of the festival and why so many people show up every year.
Yeah, so the Utah Arts Festival, I think, is an easy place that brings people together. We're trying to provide all kinds of art in an affordable format. So you might see someone like Ryrie Woodbury or RDT and a bunch of other artists and performers for just $18 or less, where you might pay a little bit more at the venue. So I think it's an affordable way to bring people together and just have fun, to just kind of let loose and let your creative side out.
One of my favorite things is being able to see things that I don't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just the unique nature. Talk about what people could expect.
So this year we're working again with Voodoo Productions, but you'll see a little bit of new things in our street theater. I'm really excited about the living masterpieces. So you're going to see people dressed up as actual works of art walking around the festival, along with some stilt walkers and ballerinas. It's going to be a really fun thing. That's one of the unique. Another new thing is our demonstrating artist area, which is just an offshoot of Artist Marketplace. And there you'll see artists actually creating their work and selling it. So they'll be doing that all weekend, really like showing you their artistic process. I always find that so fascinating to see how they get it done.
How in the world do you decide who is going to be able to show their works?
Well, luckily, I don't have to be the one. we have a jury of people who come in and score, and then we look at all of the mediums to try to have a good representation of a wide variety of artists and musicians and dancers. And so we really put that out to the community to participate in these juries because we want people to see what they want to see at the Utah Arts Festival. So that's kind of how that takes place early in the year, usually January, February, and then we notify people in March. So luckily, I don't have to be the one to make all those decisions.
I would have a tough time with that.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that the planning for the festival goes on year-round?
Yes. I mean, really, by the time we're doing this festival, we're already thinking about 2026. We only have the one time to kind of look at how things are going and think about how to improve. But yeah, it's a constant thing. And right now, we only have 2 staff members that are year-round that do that. And so we have a team of coordinators that work with us half of the year to do the programming. But yeah, it's a year-long process, definitely.
What do you hope people take away from the festival each year?
I hope that people take away anyone can be creative. Everyone's an artist, right? I think we all do that in our own different ways. Even if you don't think I'm not a painter, I don't draw, I don't sing. I think we all have our own unique ways of expressing ourselves through art, and hopefully they come and find something new that they didn't know they'd really love and enjoy and come back next year for the next new thing.
Another one of my favorite things to do is to walk around and you talked about watching them create their art. And I have found it fascinating to talk to people as they are doing each of their pieces and talk about their process.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think, art is subjective. There might be things that you see that you think is really interesting, but may not purchase for your house. And then there's something that you just connect with that you have to have and take that home with you. And it's always great to talk with the artists and see how all that work and effort, how much time goes into every piece, how much passion and how much love. It really helps you connect to it too, I think. So I'm excited to add just an even more in-depth element of that. It's always been a part of what we do. But now we're really leaning into it and focusing on showing some of that. And it's all kinds of art.
If you see something you love, you want to get it now because it's not going to be there next year, right?
I have learned my lesson even in the same year to, if I like it, get it then because I might want to think about it and go back and then it's gone. So I try to get it right when I see it.
Is there anything else maybe that you want to tell me about the festival that I haven't mentioned to you?
Yeah, so this year there's a lot to see that's new. We've mentioned some of that. We've brought back kids 12 and under being free. We're trying to keep that affordability. Lots of great discount ticket opportunities over the weekend. Really cool stuff happening Friday. There'll be some commemorative cups for the first people through the gates. And free lemonade and iced tea with that. And then also I think the biggest thing is we have redesigned our site. It's completely different than what we've had probably for the last 15 years. So that was a huge undertaking, but hoping for more shade, a bit more grassy area, just a bit more something fresh and new after 49 years. We're trying something different. So
49 years.
Yeah.
That's hard for me just to even take in that it's been going on for that long.
Yeah. And, we're working hard to keep it relevant and fresh and what people in our community want to participate in and see.
The festival gets underway on Thursday this year at Library Square, and it runs through the weekend. After the break, we'll take a look at the latest developments between Iran and Israel. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash at 10th East and 1st South and delays southbound I-15. They start after the Kaysville Ponds and continue down to Park Lane in Farmington by Lagoon. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, you can win tickets to Western Stampede. Don't miss the West Jordan Stampede and Rodeo celebrating 70 years, July 3rd through the 5th. Or win tickets to Barry Manilow, coming to the Maverick Center for the last time on July 14th. Plus, win free tickets to Lagoon or an upcoming Real Salt Lake home match. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Breaking news on KSL News Radio. We are following a breaking story out of West Valley City where police are now providing updates to last night's deadly shooting at the Westfest. Let's listen in.
Last night at about 9:15, that was the last day of our Westfest celebration, and it was starting to wind down. The Westfest Carnival actually was intended to close at 11 p.m. last night, and this was at about 9:15. On the north end of the carnival, near the main entrance, a 16-year-old male produced a handgun and began firing east toward an 18-year-old male. That 18-year-old male was hit multiple times. There were other innocent bystanders hit by gunshots, and they were in that same line of fire as that 18-year-old male. There was a 41-year-old woman and an 8-month-old baby boy who were both struck. Both of them were taken to the hospital where they ended up dying. There were also 2 teens who suffered non-life-threatening injuries. So the victims in this case are 18-year-old Hassan Lagundi of West Valley City, who appears to have been the suspect's intended target. 41-year-old Fnu Rena of West Jordan. She's the 41-year-old woman who was killed in this. We'll not be releasing the name of the 8-month-old baby because he's a juvenile, but we can tell you that he's a baby boy and that he's from West Valley City. 2 other teens were struck by gunfire, as I mentioned. They don't appear to have had any involvement with the suspect, but also just happened to be in that line of fire. These teens, a 17-year-old female and a 15-year-old male, were both hit in their arms. They've been treated at hospitals and released. When these shootings occurred, 2 West Valley City police officers who were nearby engaged the suspect. It appears that one officer fired a single round to the south toward where the suspect was headed, and there was a large stationary backdrop behind him. That round did not hit the suspect, but officers did converge on him and took him into custody within seconds of this incident happening. We're still trying to piece together exactly how the incident started. Many officers witnessed some aspect of this shooting, but we've not been able to talk to the 2 officers who actually engaged the suspect, and I want to explain why that is. An officer firing this suspect is an officer-involved critical incident, and when something like this occurs, it's investigated by an outside agency as part of the Salt Lake County Critical Incident Protocol. This protocol was established, of course, to ensure impartiality in these types of investigations. A team led by the Salt Lake City Police Department is conducting the investigation into the officer-involved critical incident portion of this incident. And as such, we are not privy to the involved officers' statements. So we have not talked to either of our officers who actually engaged the suspect. In short, then, there are simply details that we will not know until the investigation is complete. Now, that again is to preserve the integrity of the investigation and to provide an impartial investigation. So we're not investigating our own officer-involved critical incident. That's being done by a protocol team led by Salt Lake City. Sorry, just a moment. I have a few more notes. Okay, as for the suspect in this case, he is a 16-year-old male. We will not be releasing his name because he is a juvenile. He was interviewed and booked into the juvenile detention facility on 3 charges of homicide. We are working to understand more about his history, but what I can tell you at this point is that we have confirmed that he lived in West Valley City. I'll go ahead and turn some time over to you, and if you have some questions to follow. We don't know at this point. That's one of the things that we're looking at. From the information that we've been able to gather, it does look like this suspect was targeting this specific victim. When I'm addressing the 18-year-old, it does look like the suspect was targeting that particular victim in this case. What their connection is, we don't know yet. So that's something we're working on determining.
So were there 2 groups that were kind of clashing?
So some of our initial reports were that there were two groups who were kind of having some sort of a verbal altercation. As we're working through our witness officer statements and some of the witness statements of people around, that isn't bearing out quite the same way that it did last night. So we're still working on determining that. We're talking about an extremely dynamic incident. Let's see, there, I have some of the numbers. Oh, Brown's Amusement told us they don't have an exact count on attendance, but they estimate the crowd at that hour was around 1,000 to 2,000 people. The carnival was preparing to close at 11 p.m. They'd started their shutdown process, so the numbers were dwindling a bit, but they are still estimating 1,000 to 2,000 people there. So we are working through a lot of witness statements, a lot of officers' statements, and we're not seeing as much information about two groups coming into a conflict, but more of the suspect specifically going after this one particular victim.
Was that 8-month-old the child of the 41-year-old woman?
No, the 41-year-old woman and the 8-month-old child are not related at all. They were actually quite a distance from each other, but directly in line behind where the where the suspect was firing toward that initial 18-year-old victim.
And apologies if this was just asked, I didn't hear it. Was this gang-related or any indication of that?
That was what she asked. We are looking into that. We don't have answers to that at this point, but that is something, of course, that we're looking into. We're trying to understand better the history and the connections of the suspect. We're trying to understand how the suspect and that initial victim that he appeared to be targeting, how they might have been involved or what conflicts might have existed there. But those just aren't answers that we have quite yet.
Do you know if one person showed up looking for the other person there, the suspect and the victim, or did chance encounter?
I don't know.
Were there security like? Sorry, were there other people injured in the event?
So there are the people who I described to you. We have the 3 who are deceased. We have the 2 teenagers, each who were shot in the arm. Last night we had a report of a pregnant woman who was trying to escape, who was hurt trying to climb a fence, not any kind of a significant injury. I mean, honestly, I'm sure if you started adding up all of the people who tried to flee, there were probably a number of people who maybe suffered some bumps and bruises trying to get out of there. We don't have all of the information on that, but the significant injuries, the ones that required hospitalization or treatment, treatment at a hospital, those are the ones that you're aware of.
Hey, Roxanne,
yes.
A lot of people witnessed some very horrific things last night. Can you talk about victim services, what's available to those who witnessed an infant shot, a woman shot, you know what I mean? What's out there for
Yeah,
people?
absolutely. This is obviously a horrific incident, something that we have not experienced in what was supposed to be a citywide celebration, something that is an enjoyable function for the most part. Lots of people around, lots of first responders, lots of people coming into contact with an absolutely horrific situation. For folks who may have witnessed this and would like to reach out to us, we do have a victim services office. We'd be happy to help direct people toward resources to help process what they have seen and what they've witnessed in this occasion. And then, of course, our victim advocates are working with these families who've lost their loved ones to try to help them through this process.
What was security like at the event? And given this incident, is there thought being given to upping security next year?
So the security at Westfest, I would say, is extensive. I mean, we're talking about a large celebration, a large gathering of people, and any time that you have a large gathering of people, it would be incumbent upon us, of course, to plan for security to ensure that people are safe. And that's exactly what people had there last night. We had an extensive police presence there, just simply because of the size of the event. In fact, this shooting took place maybe 100 yards from our police mobile command post. So I think it's fair to say that this was not about a lack of resources. This was not about a lack of police presence. This was about something entirely different.
Do you have to go through like a metal detector?
No, we don't have a metal detector outside of our community celebration. That's not something that was in place. I've been asked if that's something that we're considering. That's really not a conversation that we're focused on at this moment. But I can tell you that as a city, we are always dedicated to evaluating and reevaluating and doing the best that we possibly can, whatever that takes.
Just personally, how is this impacting the officers who were there, people who were
Sorry, we can give this just a moment to finish chiming.
You're listening to a news conference out of West Valley City. West Valley Police identifying the victims in last night's deadly shooting at Westfest. Also saying a 16-year-old male has been booked into juvenile detention on 3 homicide charges. And they do not know if this shooting was gang-related, but it does look like the 18-year-old who was killed was the intended victim.
She asked how the officers are feeling. I've not had a chance to speak personally with many of the officers, but sorry, make sure that's finished chiming. This is obviously an extraordinarily tragic situation. This is obviously something that no one would want to encounter, let alone be so deeply involved in it. I will tell you personally, I am so grateful for the quick response of these officers. I would call it nothing short of heroic that these officers rushed into a crowd where gunshots were being fired and quickly brought this suspect into custody. We at the West Valley City Police Department do have a therapist, an on-staff therapist, and officers in our department are mandated to see her twice a year. That was an effort to remove any stigma surrounding seeing a therapist. They're welcome to see her more often as needed, and she's been extremely well received. So I do take comfort in the fact that our officers will be able to receive the mental health care that they need after such a tragic incident. Our focus, I think, at this point is really on these families and clearly the heartache that they must be suffering, and there's just absolutely nothing that can compare to that.
There's a lot of kind of fear out there right now. There were 2 big events over the weekend, shootings of both with innocent people.
This is KSL FM Salt Lake City, KSL FM Midvale, KSL AM Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I think, our mayor and city council released a statement, and I think they said it really well, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but they talked about how, this is not our community. This is not our West Valley City. People who live in West Valley City are very proud of where they're from, and there is, there's a lot of support and caring and those types of things in our community. And I think our mayor said something to the effect of, let's stand by these people in their grief. Let's stand by these people who have lost their loved ones, and let's rededicate ourselves to this city the way that we want it to be, a safe and wonderful city for the people who live here.
We've heard from people who were worried about Westfest in years past, and this kind of just adds to that. What do you want? Do you hope the city can do anything, or what can be done in the future to help prevent it?
So like I said, we are always evaluating best practices. We're always evaluating how to operate things more effectively, more efficiently, more safely. So certainly this will be something that we will look at. But, this is an unfortunate and tragic incident. And I think I wouldn't want to have any kind of a knee-jerk reaction. I think this is something that we need to take a close look at and really evaluate and work through some of the questions surrounding this so that we can make our community events, which our community deserves to have, the best and the safest that they can possibly be.
Roxanne, can you take a moment to focus back on the victims here? What have we learned, or what can you share about them that's appropriate at this time?
I don't have much information about the victims other than just just kind of the nuts and bolts that I gave you of their ages and where they're from and that sort of thing.
Can we get a spelling on those?
Yes, absolutely. So let me back up and get that for you. So we have 18-year-old Hassan Lagundi of West Valley City, and he's the one who appeared to have been the suspect's primary target. Hassan is Hassan. Lagundi is Lugundi. Then we have 41-year-old Fnu Rena of West Jordan. First name is spelled F as in Frank, N as in Nancy, U, and then Rena, Reena. And then, of course, we have the 8-month-old baby, which we won't be releasing a name there.
When do you expect to be able to talk to those 2 officers and get more details?
So we wouldn't be able to talk to them until the investigation by the protocol team is complete. And I hope that that makes sense to everyone. This was an effort started sometime back to ensure the impartiality of officer-involved critical incident investigations. And so in order to be able to have that impartiality, a team outside of our agency is dedicated to this investigation. They're the ones talking to them. They're the ones working through that investigation. Meantime, we have this other portion of it that's our own investigation to handle. I can't give you a timeline on that, but these investigations can take some time, and obviously this one is extremely dynamic.
But again, only one officer fired, correct?
I'm sorry, say again.
Only one officer fired?
One officer fired, one round, correct.
Both are within the protocol.
But both are, yes, both are part of that protocol investigation.
Is it simply because they were the ones that were detaining the suspect?
Engaged the suspect, correct.
Are they on administrative leave right now from the department?
I know that the officer who fired, I'm going to have to clarify that. The officer who fired would be on administrative leave. I'm not sure about the second one, although I suspect he would be, considering that he is part of the protocol investigation. I can find that out and let you know.
If anyone has additional videos, because there's a lot floating around right now, or statements that you want to provide, do you have a specific line that's been dedicated to this investigation? How do you want them to communicate with you?
Yeah, so that's a great point. A lot of people who may have witnessed some portion of this obviously fled the scene last night, as you'd expect under the circumstances. If there are people who have video, if there are people who have video that they think might be pertinent of the incident, or information that might be pertinent about the incident, they're welcome to give us a call. Probably the best way to reach out to us right now would be to reach out to us through our dispatch line, and then they can direct you the best route to go from there, or have someone call you back. The number for that is 801-840-4000.
Do you have any indication of when we might expect to see charges filed?
I don't. So charges, how the process works is that police departments gather evidence and information. They screen that case with the district attorney's office, and it's the district attorney who determines what charges would be filed and when.
And if they're saying that that officer's round hit the suspect?
It did not. The officer fired one round toward the suspect. That round, the trajectory was toward the south. It went toward the suspect, and then there was a large backdrop, a large solid object backdrop behind him. There were some questions about if the officer's firing could have possibly been responsible for the bystanders who were hit. And there is an enormous investigation underway, and all facts will be revealed as this investigation goes through. But from what we can tell at this point, the people who were hit by the suspect's bullets were the ones who were toward the east, who were being fired upon west to east. And then the officer fired one round from north to south trajectory, so entirely different directions.
So do you know after he fired his shot, did the suspect give up, or did they have to go tackle him, or how did that?
I'm not sure exactly, but I know the officer fired one shot, and then almost immediately they took him down, just hands-on took him down, two officers.
And were the victims all in the same general feet of each other, or
I don't know the exact distance, but what I do know is that they were kind of in a line, down the midway. There was kind of a with the initial victim being toward the front, and then the infant victim kind of next in that line, and then the 41-year-old woman kind of next in that line, but a distance separating them, and I'm not sure the exact positioning of the two teens.
Do you know what sort of firearm this is?
It's my understanding it was a handgun.
And Roxanne, did the suspect have a handgun? Did the victim who shot and killed, did he have any weapons on him?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know exactly what was recovered as far as after his body was removed from the site, but at this time I'm not aware of any weapons on the victim.
How many shots did the suspect shoot?
I don't know. That's something that will be part of that that full investigation.
Do you know how many cops were just on scene at Westfest as the shooting was happening?
I
from a security
I don't have an exact number. I'm sure that's something that I could get for you. I can tell you that there are an extensive amount of resources devoted to Westfest, as you'd expect. And literally the police command post was within line of sight of where the shooting occurred. Okay, that,
One last question.
yes.
Going forward, you had briefly mentioned this. This is a community event that you want to have, and you have community events for the community of West Valley. But going forward, how are you guys going to ensure that this doesn't happen again? What safety measures are going to go in place so this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was explaining. We're very early in this. Obviously, we don't want to just have some sort of knee-jerk reaction to this event, as horrific as it is. What I think we would like to do as a city is to take the time to fully process exactly what happened, look at all of the aspects that surround it, and make educated and wise decisions for our community. All right, thank you for being here today. Please continue to follow Twitter, aka X, and I'll provide updates there. There's nothing that comes to mind that I anticipate being an update very soon. I'm double checking my notes.
And good afternoon, it's 3:11. I'm Scott Carty in for Jeff Kaplan. Breaking news on KSL News Radio. You're just hearing West Valley City Police giving an update on last night's shooting that left 3 dead at the Westfest. Police gave new details, and we have KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera live at the police station with the latest. Eric?
Scott, I'm here at the West Valley Police Headquarters where investigators just shared those new details about the deadly shooting that happened during Westfest at Centennial Park last night. They say a fight broke out between 2 groups, and that's when a 16-year-old suspect pulled out a gun and opened fire. 5 people were hit, 3 of them died. That includes 41-year-old Funu Rina and an 8-month-old baby, both innocent bystanders. Police say the third victim, 18-year-old Hassan Lagundi, was likely the intended target. An officer on scene fired 1 shot but missed. The teen suspect was arrested quickly and is now facing 3 counts of homicide. Police now confirm that Rina was not related to the infant killed, and they're still working to determine what sparked the shooting and whether it's gang-related. And once again, they're asking anyone who saw what happened and ran from the scene to come forward. Live in West Valley, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 3:12.
It's not just a summer sale. It's an opportunity from Advanced Window Products. $2,500 off on 10 windows or more, but not just any windows. Advanced built their first window right here in Salt Lake in 1986. That's 39 years of perfecting their craft. And today, they'll build custom double-pane windows with insulated frames for your home. At Advanced Windows, they've mastered every design and all the features you could imagine, from lattice work to security to keep your family safe. And because they're the factory, you're going to save 30 to 40% on premium custom windows. Your energy bill's going to tumble, and the best part is it's affordable. Remember I said $2,500 off your quote? It gets even better. They make it affordable with 60-month 0% finance.
But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions